Chapter 1881. Jian Junlai stared at 7 abstinences and asked, "What did you think of? There are many evil spirits in the blood sea, causing despair, anger, fear, desire and other negative emotions in humans. Isn't all of this the chaotic thoughts of humans?" 7 abstinences softly spoke, "Blood as the sea, bones as the boat, thoughts as the evil spirits." Good imagination. Jian Junlai's eyes flashed. If this was true, what sort of existence would that person be? It was most probably unimaginable. At this moment, more and more figures appeared on the other shore. There were heavenly deities and world overlords. For some supreme world overlords, their wills might not necessarily be weaker than heavenly deities. Qin Dangtian appeared. Goddess Nikhang, who appeared in Qin Wentian's imagination, also appeared. Both of them walked out of the blood sea. What's ahead? Many people stared at the blood sea. There was an ancient pathway there and there were already people heading out, continuing to explore. Qin Wentian didn't move forward immediately. He waited here, and after a period of time, Jun Mengchen and Qi Yu also walked out of the blood sea. Only then did Qin Wentian set his heart at ease. Mengchen's personality was carefree and flamboyant, but his will was still extremely resolute, able to overcome all negative emotions. His comprehension ability was also extraordinary. As for Qi Yu, after he inherited the Battle Saint Bone, he has already transformed. Right now, he only wanted to restore the glory of the Battle Saint tribe. How dangerous! Jun Mengchen walked out and spoke to Qin Wentian. "This blood sea is too dangerous. I thought it was real time and time again, but everything was just an illusion, causing me to be unable to extricate myself. There was actually a supreme beauty who wanted me to be immersed in her beauty forever." Qin Wentian's eyes flashed. Who is that supreme beauty? Since it was an illusion, it should be real, right? I don't think I know her. Jun Mengchen shook his head. Qin Wentian stared at him. He didn't know if this was the truth or a lie. "Let's go." Qin Wentian spoke. They continued on the ancient path ahead. They have yet to come into contact with the secrets of the heaven vault. As they continued forward, they saw a corpse. That corpse had experienced countless years, yet it still hadn't corroded and was as good as new. However, his internal organs had been pierced through, and there was a huge hole in his body. The corpse was still standing there, incomparably majestic. The blood in his body had long been drained, and there were runes engraved on his bones, just that they were incomplete. Qi Yu looked at the skeleton in shock. The heavenly god's corpse. Qin Wentian spoke in a light voice. Most probably, he didn't die because of the heaven vault itself. Instead, he died because of a battle. The heaven vault was a secret realm in the supreme ancient immortal realms. It had been opened before, and there would definitely be experts who came here before. It was only normal for battles to erupt here. There are stone tablets. At this moment, Qi Yu spoke. Qin Wentian and Jun Mengchen turned their gazes to the side. There was indeed a stone monument there with the words Heaven Vault engraved on it. Was this the origin of the Heaven Vault? Beside the 2 words Heaven Vault, there was a row of smaller words. Path to Godhood, Path to Godfall. Godhood, Godfall. Many people stopped here, feeling their hearts pounding. Those who came before didn't proceed forward. Clearly, they were filled with trepidation towards the ancient words on the stone monument. Godfall, even heavenly deities might die here. This was truly an unknown place. The path has already been opened. There's no need to worry. Let's continue forward. At the end of the ancient path, a voice drifted over. This voice seemed to contain a strange magical power, causing people to involuntarily believe in his words. The path has already been opened. There's no need to worry. Does this mean that the danger here has already been resolved? It's him. Qin Wentian's eyes flashed. It was the mysterious white-robed young man. He resolved the danger on the ancient path and allowed everyone to proceed forward to explore the secrets of the heaven vault. "Let's go." Qin Wentian spoke. He trusted that white-robed young man very much. That white-robed young man was a transcendent expert. Since he said that the path has already been opened, it would truly be opened. Staring at Qin Wentian and the others moving forward, the people behind naturally weren't willing to lag behind. Also, the voice drifted over from the front. Many people thought back to the mysterious figure who crossed the blood sea earlier. Maybe he was the one who opened the path. Hence, this ancient path that had obstructed countless experts in the past was easily opened. Those who came here could all proceed forward. Naturally, those who could come here were all extraordinary characters from the supreme ancient immortal realms. Ordinary characters wouldn't be able to reach this place. However, they all knew that this ancient path known as the path to Godfall would definitely be countless times more dangerous compared to the Blood Sea. Maybe, it was precisely because of the existence of this ancient path that the experts of the supreme ancient immortal realms couldn't explore the Heaven Vault, causing the secrets of the Heaven Vault to be unknown to the world. This time around, the arrival of a mysterious expert might change everything. Everyone felt a sense of yearning in their hearts as they continued forward. On the way there were many corpses left behind. These corpses didn't rot at all despite the passage of countless years. Also, some of the corpses still exuded an incomplete Tao might that was extremely terrifying. Many of them were the corpses of heavenly deities. Nobody knew how long the Heaven Vault had existed for. But most probably, ever since the Heaven Vault existed, every time it opened, there would be experts who came here to explore it. After countless years, the number of experts who died in the Heaven Vault naturally wouldn't be few. The sky gradually darkened. Day and night merged together. The expressions of the hegemonic powers who stepped on the ancient Heaven Vault path grew increasingly heavy. They could faintly sense that the Heaven Vault path this time around might bring them to an extraordinary place. Finally, the day vanished. The ancient path transformed into a night path. Astral light shone on the ancient path, illuminating everyone's path. Buthum. The sound of heartbeats could be heard. This entire space was actually silent, incomparably quiet and extremely bizarre. No one spoke, only the sound of heartbeats could be heard. Many people already had no way to control their heartbeats, because they discovered that this ancient pathway was no longer in the supreme ancient immortal realms. It was in the starry space instead. This was a path that led to the starry space. Heaven Vault. Many people involuntarily thought of these two words. Heaven Vault, a hole in the sky that led to the heavens. There seemed to be no end to the ancient path. The night sky grew brighter and brighter, more resplendent. Above their heads, numerous resplendent astral rivers appeared. Each and every astral river was incomparably resplendent, boundlessly vast. Above each astral river, there were many constellations. The 9 heavenly layers. The hearts of the crowd pounded violently. This was the first time they were so close to the 9 heavenly layers. It felt like they were just inches away from the 9 heavenly layers. There was no need for them to use their perception to sense the constellations in the 9 heavenly layers. They could see the constellations in the 9 heavenly layers with their own eyes. Where's my constellation? Someone sensed the location of his constellation as his heart pounded violently. Boom! A figure soared up into the sky. This figure was none other than the sword monarch Jian Junlai. His speed was like a beam of startling sword light, extremely fast. The crowd only saw him flying towards a constellation as his body gradually grew smaller and smaller. Although the constellation seemed very close, everyone understood that in reality, it was still very far away. It was just that because the constellation was too large, it felt like it was just inches away. However, they could see that Jian Junlai was already flying towards a constellation. That constellation was in the form of a sword. There were billions of constellations in the 9 heavenly layers. All of them had different forms. The path to godhood. Everyone thought of the introduction on the Heaven Vault monument as their hearts pounded violently. Father. Only to see that Qin Dangtian wasn't in a hurry to fly up. He took out his messaging crystal and transmitted his voice to Qin Zheng. Danger, how is it? Qin Zheng asked. A mysterious expert appeared in the Heaven Vault. He unlocked the seal of the Heaven Vault and now, he has already seen through the secrets of the Heaven Vault. The end of the Heaven Vault is above the 9 heavenly layers and the constellations there are just inches away from us. Qin Dangtian spoke. Father, you should immediately lead the experts of the Qin clan to the Heaven Vault. The first trial won't be able to obstruct the experts of the Qin clan. The second trial is the Blood Sea. It can create many illusions that attack the weaknesses of humans. However, as long as you have no fear and use your powerful will to overcome your weaknesses, you would be able to pass. The third trial is the path to the Heaven Vault. It's also known as the path to godhood and also the path to Godfall. But now, it has been opened by a mysterious expert. When Qin Zheng heard his father's voice transmission, even with his state of heart, he couldn't help but feel shocked in his heart. After that, he replied, I will immediately mobilize the experts of the Qin clan to head to the Heaven Vault. After putting down his messaging crystal, Qin Zheng was thinking in his heart. Back then, Qin Tiangang and Qin Yuanfeng, how far did they manage to reach in the Heaven Vault? Not only for Qin Dang Tian, the geniuses of the various powers were all informing the experts of their clans and powers. For a period of time, huge waves of commotion rose in the supreme ancient immortal realms. In the 8 regions of the supreme ancient immortal realms, countless major powers received the news. After that, they led the experts of their clans and powers to the Heaven region. Their target was none other than Boundless City, the Heaven Vault. A storm is about to rise in the immortal realms. Many people silently mused. The Heaven Vault was actually connected to the 9 heavenly layers. Now that the secret of the Heaven Vault was unlocked, it was unknown how many experts would come here. Qin Wentian also took out his messaging crystal and informed his grandfather. However, he had no idea if his grandfather would come or not. Staring at the boundless ancient path, staring at the constellations in the sky, Qin Wentian was thinking in his heart. His grandfather, Qin Tiangang, where did he go? Did he die on the Heaven Vault ancient path? However, among the corpses on the ancient path, there weren't any corpses similar to him or his father. If he really met his grandfather, given his current cultivation base, he would definitely be able to sense it. Qin Wentian turned his head and glanced at the ancient path. Just a single path was able to bring everyone to the 9 heavenly layers. Qin Wentian was very clear in his heart what this signified. It meant that this ancient path itself was a Tao of space, condensing boundless spatial distances into a single ancient path. To what extent did this usage of space reach? Even Qin Wentian had no way to know. Chapter 1882. Many figures stared at the ancient path in the sky. Behind them, more and more experts arrived. When they saw the scene before them, their hearts trembled violently. What was even more terrifying was that they had yet to reach the end of the ancient path. It was like this ancient path could truly lead them to the 9 heavenly rivers. This was a path that led directly to the 9 heavenly layers. The creator of this ancient path, how strong was his cultivation base? At this moment, numerous figures soared through the air, rushing towards their constellations. In the supreme ancient immortal realms, they had only been to many particle worlds and seen many mines. It was said that these mines were formed from meteorites that fell from constellations. But now they were truly only a step away from a constellation. It's rumored that there were heavenly deities who spent countless years in the starry space, searching for the 9 heavenly layers. Who would have thought that there would actually be an ancient path that leads directly to the 9 heavenly layers? A heavenly deity sighed. In the ancient records of the supreme ancient immortal realms, there were records of people who went to the 9 heavenly layers before. Those heavenly deities with extremely firm wills definitely wanted to go beyond the 9 heavenly layers to take a look. But it was rumored that they had to spend countless years before they could truly reach the 9 heavenly layers. Very few heavenly deities would have such great determination. To heavenly deities, their perception could reach the 9 heavenly layers. They basically wouldn't think about using many years to explore the starry space. Maybe only heavenly deities who reached a certain cultivation realm and wanted to pursue a higher level would have such thoughts. But now that they arrived here, who could stop the palpitations in their hearts? Nikhang. Let's go take a look at the constellations. Qin Dangtian walked to the side of Goddess Nikhang. He only saw Goddess Nichang's beautiful eyes staring at the boundless ancient path. Did her father disappear here? Go ahead. Goddess Nikhang spoke in a light voice. Her beautiful eyes were still staring at the ancient path. Okay then. If there's anything, just send me a message. Qin Dangtian nodded. After that, his silhouette flashed as he soared into the starry space. Senior brother, I wish to go take a look. Jun Mingchen's heart stirred. No one would be able to suppress the desire in their hearts for constellations. This was the source of their cultivation. Go on, find the constellation you want to go to. Qin Wentian nodded. Uncle you should go as well. This is an opportunity for you. Yes. Qi Yu nodded. His silhouette soared up into the air. After that, Qin Wentian also soared up into the starry space, heading towards a constellation. Many experts headed in different directions, all of them wanting to probe the secrets of the constellations. How did you get here? At this moment, a voice rang out from the sky. This was the silhouette of a true divinity. In the starry space, a gigantic face appeared as a heaven-shaking might bore down. The expressions of everyone were filled with terror. That face was actually even larger than a constellation. It was too shocking. Senior, we came here through the heaven vault. Someone spoke. This person was a heavenly deity. However, even a heavenly deity still addressed this person as senior. From this, one could very well imagine how powerful this person was. I naturally know that you guys came here through the heaven vault. However, how can the path to Godfall be so easy to traverse? Many of you aren't qualified to come here. That figure spoke again, coldly speaking. Once, I gave up everything before I could reach the end of the heaven vault. After arriving here, I almost died. As for you guys, you actually managed to reach this place so easily. How did you do it? Clearly, he was very unhappy. The hearts of everyone trembled. This expert was actually an ancient heavenly deity who came here to explore the secrets of the heaven vault. I'm the one who brought them here. Only to see that at this moment, a voice rang out through the starry space. That white-robed figure stood in the air. His body was extremely tiny, but as he stood there, it felt like everyone could see him clearly. Who are you? Why are you doing this, destroying the heaven vault? The face in the air coldly asked. Since there's such a place that allows cultivators in the world to come into contact with a higher level and search for the origin of cultivation, why must you seal off the path here? The white-robed young man calmly spoke. Clearly, he felt that this ancient path should be opened, allowing cultivators to reach this place. What a magnanimous fellow. In that case, why did we give up our lives to come here back then? Since they shouldn't belong here, I want all of them to die. The expert in the air coldly spoke. As the sound of his voice faded, countless people felt fear in their hearts. This ancient person actually wanted their lives. What if I don't agree? The white-robed figure calmly spoke. Then you can go and die first. That expert from the starry space spoke. As the sound of his voice faded, that gigantic face seemed to be attached to a constellation. The light from that constellation directly locked onto the white-robed young man. After that, that constellation erupted with resplendent light of the great Tao, gushing forth, wanting to destroy this entire starry space. Since this is the case, I'll strip you of everything. The white-robed young man calmly spoke. He stepped out, allowing the boundless radiance of the great Tao to land on him. That beam of light that could penetrate through time blasted into him, yet it couldn't move him at all. The crowd only saw his silhouette directly shuttling through the blinding beam of light, following the direction of the astral light, moving towards that incomparably gigantic constellation. Die! That expert from the starry space roared in rage. His constellation gushed forth with destructive might, as though all the energy from his constellation was unleashed at the same time. Numerous beams of light arced through the starry space, wanting to penetrate the heavens. However, none of the beams of light could penetrate the body of the white-robed young man. He lifted his hand and pointed a finger at the starry space. A beam of light capable of splitting the heavens and earth shot up into the starry space, landing on the constellation where the gigantic face was. At this instant, under the shocked gazes of everyone, cracks appeared on that gigantic constellation. The cracks rapidly expanded as the gigantic face contorted, as though it was in extreme pain. It howled in rage. No, this is impossible. I'm the ruler of this constellation. How can you do this? I can rule the heavens. Your heart isn't worthy of the Tao. As the sound of the white-robed young man's voice faded, that constellation crumbled under the power of the countless cracks. After that, it transformed into meteors that fell from the sky. No, that person earlier let out a roar of despair. He had cultivated here for so many years. Was he going to die so easily? No, he wasn't willing to accept this. On the ancient heaven vault pathway, as well as the people who were heading to the other constellations, they all personally witnessed this scene. Great waves rose in their hearts. There were no words to describe the shock they were feeling right now. In this world, there was actually an expert who could shatter a constellation with a single finger. He said that he could rule the heavens. He said that the heart of that person wasn't worthy of the Tao. Hence he acted, shattering the constellation with a single finger. At this moment, even heavenly deities had a feeling of wanting to prostrate themselves in worship. If they were gods, what sort of existence was that white-robed young man? If he became a king, he could be conferred the title of God King, the king of all gods. Qin Wentian drew in a deep breath. The white-robed young man he met in the legendary place of the Tiandao Sacred Academy was actually so powerful to such a level? This has already surpassed the eons. When would he be able to reach such a level? He said that he could rule the heavens. He also once told himself that humans could triumph over the heavens. The heavenly Tao was merely the strength of humans. Constellations were the source of energy. However, he could shatter a constellation with a single finger. There are many mines and meteors in the immortal realms. That strike earlier most probably means that there would be many more meteor mines in the supreme ancient immortal realms. Could it be that meteor mines are formed like this? Qin Wentian felt that this was a little ridiculous. This shouldn't be possible. If there were experts fighting on a constellation, causing the constellation to crumble, causing meteors to fall into the supreme ancient immortal realms, this might have happened before. However, shattering a constellation with a single finger? Since ancient times, it was unknown if such a thing still existed. This is the true realm I want to pursue. Qin Dangtian stared at the white-robed young man in the air. At this moment, a fervent look could be seen in his eyes. If he could reach such a realm, who in the world would be able to stand against him? He could even be conferred the title of God King in the supreme ancient immortal realms. Many experts clenched their fists. The heavenly deity realm wasn't the limit. The path of the great Tao was still very long. After the white-robed young man shattered the constellation, his silhouette flashed as he directly departed. He was as carefree as ever, as though everything in the world was so simple. It was just the power of a single finger. Qin Wentian drew in a deep breath and continued flying towards another constellation. His target was the same as Jian Junlai's, a sword-shaped constellation. When Qin Wentian neared it, he could already sense a terrifying sword might gushing forth from it, wanting to destroy him. Once he could only rely on his perception to reach the 9 heavenly layers. When he neared a constellation, he would be able to sense the power of the constellation. But now, his body was truly close to the constellation. That feeling was countless times clearer and more intense. With an intention of his will, the astral light from the constellation cascaded into his body. Although this wasn't a constellation he had formed an innate connection with, at such a close distance, he could still absorb sword-attributed energy from it. The closer he got, the more intense the sword intent grew. Qin Wentian could faintly sense the might of the great Tao of swords descending upon him. If he got any closer, he would be in danger. When I sense the constellation from the ground, what I sense isn't the true power of the constellation. Qin Wentian silently mused. Sword light revolved around him, allowing the sword rivers to rain down on him. However, none of them were able to penetrate through him. Finally, Qin Wentian's body arrived at the top of the constellation. Every inch of land here seemed to contain sword intent, the Tao of the sword. Chapter 1883. Qin Wentian stood on the constellation. His surroundings were enveloped by the Tao of swords, resembling heavenly might. The entire sword-shaped constellation was the same. At this moment Qin Wentian truly understood. So it turned out that when they condensed a connection with their constellation, and awakened their astral souls, they could only obtain the simplest form of astral energy from their constellations. Only when they stepped into the ultimate realm would they be considered to have truly obtained the power of their constellations, the so-called heavenly Tao energy. Each of these constellations contained the energy of the heavenly Taos. Every single constellation was the same. Qin Wentian stared at the 9 heavenly layers, at the boundless starry space. He couldn't help but feel a sense of bewilderment in his heart. If each and every constellation represented the might of the heavenly Tao, how did the millions and millions of constellations in the 9 heavenly layers come to be? Could it have existed since the beginning of humanity? This sky was truly filled with countless mysteries. He wondered if he would be able to pry into its secrets after stepping into the realm of that white-robed young man. However, Qin Wentian understood what it meant for them to come here. This meant that everyone here would have a chance to sense different heavenly Daos at a close distance. This time around it was sufficient to cause the entire Supreme Ancient Immortal Realms to go crazy. He could already predict that experts at the Supreme Ancient Immortal Realms and above would all rush over here. Just like what he had expected right now, after the experts of the various powers in the Supreme Ancient Immortal Realms received the news, they all rushed over to the Boundless Sea. After that, the news was circulated to the various powers in the Supreme Ancient Immortal Realms, causing a huge commotion in the Supreme Ancient Immortal Realms. The legendary Heaven Vault was actually connected to the 9 heavenly layers. The experts in the Heaven Vault were in a frenzy as well. After they sensed the power contained within the constellations, all of them started to cultivate frenziedly. They knew that this was a heaven-defying opportunity, an opportunity that had never been seen before since ancient times. Regardless of whether it was to world overlords or heavenly deities, this was the case for all of them. Qin Wentian immersed himself in comprehending the power of the constellations. He felt that he was getting closer and closer to the ultimate realm. Maybe this trip to the Heaven Vault would be the opportunity for him to break through. Cultivation wasn't something that could be done in a day or night. When the experts in the Heaven Vault were cultivating, the experts from the Supreme Ancient Immortal Realms also started to arrive. Naturally, they were all peak characters, powerful world overlords and heavenly deities. Although the path to Godfall was directly opened by the white-robed young man, the first 2 hurdles, especially the Blood Sea, weren't something ordinary people could pass. The experts from the peak powers naturally arrived the fastest. This was especially so for those powers that were originally in the Heaven region. The Qin clan Qinkuan sect, 9 Heavens Mystical Palace, all of them arrived one after another. In addition, there were many heavenly deities here as well. The ancient pathway that led to the 9 heavenly layers to them was also extremely tempting. Qin Zheng led the experts from the Qin clan here. Even his wife came as well. His wife was extremely beautiful and was also a heavenly deity. Back then, she was the most outstanding female in the Qin clan. When Qin Yuanfeng was young, he was secretly in love with her. When she stood there, no one dared to look at her directly. Dang! The woman stared at Qin Dangtian. Her beautiful eyes flickered with a gentle light. Her son Qin Dangtian had always been her pride. Mother, you came as well. Qin Dongtian's figure flashed as he flew over. I've always wanted to go up to the 9 heavenly layers to take a look. Now that there's a chance, I naturally came. Many elders have come as well. The woman spoke to Qin Dangtian. Qin Dangtian could see that there were many heavenly deities from the Qin clan who came. Why didn't Grandpa come to take a look? Qin Dangtian asked. Your grandpa is currently in closed-door seclusion. It's not good to disturb him. Since the Heaven Vault has already opened, there will still be opportunities in the future. There's no need to be in such a hurry. Qin Zheng spoke. Qin Dangtian nodded. Qin Zheng walked forward and stared at the ancient pathway. The astral light from the 9 heavenly layers cascaded downwards. The constellations were incomparably dazzling. He silently mused in his heart. Back then, Qin Yuanfeng and his father came to the Heaven Vault before. Did they come here before? They should have. In addition, the treasure Qin Tiangang obtained back then might have originated from here. In the end, it was unknown how the treasure ended up in Qin Yuanfeng's hands. This matter had always been a secret of the Qin clan. Only an extremely few peak powers on the same level as the Qin clan knew of some secrets. Behind him, more and more experts arrived. Qin Zheng turned his head and glanced at them. The woman in the lead was extremely outstanding. She wasn't in any way inferior compared to Qin Zheng's wife. In fact, she was even more outstanding. She simply didn't seem like a woman from the mortal world. The 9 Heavens Mystical Maiden has also arrived. Qin Zheng spoke. This woman was none other than the palace mistress of the 9 Heavens Mystical Palace. She was known as the #1 immortal in the 9 Heavens, the 9 Heavens Mystical Maiden. The 9 Heavens Mystical Maiden's aura was transcendent. She glanced at Qin Zheng and spoke in a light voice. Isn't clan leader Qin here as well? With regards to the miraculous scene before us, what does the 9 Heavens Mystical Maiden think? Qin Zheng asked. A great fortune in the Supreme Ancient Immortal Realms. The 9 Heavens Mystical Maiden smiled. Qin Zheng nodded. This was indeed a great fortune. Most probably, many people here would experience a qualitative transformation. The two of you are here so early. Another voice rang out. A middle-aged man clad in violet gold robes with a crown on his head walked over. His body floated above the ancient path, like the Lord of the universe. This man was none other than the Chinkuan sect leader, someone known as the controller of heaven and earth. You aren't slow either. Qin Zheng calmly spoke. The Chinkuan sect leader smiled. He stared at the Nine Heavens mystical maiden. It has been a long time since I saw the Nine Heavens mystical maiden. You are still as breathtaking as ever, transcending the mortal world. It's truly a pity that you don't want to marry me. The Nine Heavens mystical maiden glanced at him. She wasn't angry. They were acquainted with each other very long ago, and had been competing for power in the heaven region for many years. Oh yeah, that useless disciple of mine, Lin Xiao, has been chasing after your Nine Heavens mystical maiden every day. I think it's impossible for you to pass on your position within a short period of time. Why don't you marry the Nine Heavens mystical maiden to my disciple? The Chinkuan sect leader spoke. The mystical maiden who was rushing over coldly glanced at the Chinkuan sect leader when she heard this. This old fellow was much more despicable compared to Lin Xiao. Let's go. The Nine Heavens mystical maiden couldn't be bothered to argue with the Chinkuan sect leader. No matter what, as a woman, she would be at a disadvantage. Hence, she decided to ignore him. The group of fairies soared into the starry space, attracting the gazes of countless experts. They were too beautiful, causing many people to sigh in admiration. Was that the Nine Heavens mystical maiden, the number one beauty in the Nine Heavens? Her beauty was transcendent. This was especially so when she soared into the starry space and bathed in the starlight. Danger, where is Nick Hang? Qin Zheng's wife asked. She wanted to see her future daughter-in-law. She hasn't seen her before. Her daughter-in-law was the number one beauty in the heaven region. Her beauty shouldn't lose out to her, right? Nick Hang went to cultivate. Qin Dang Tian replied. I wished to meet with her. Qin Zheng's wife smiled. Qin Dang Tian hesitated for a moment before he nodded. He took out his messaging crystal and spoke. Nick Hang, my parents are here. Mother wishes to meet with you. Goddess Nick Hang was currently cultivating on a constellation. After she received Qin Dongtian's message, she hesitated and didn't really want to go. But in the end she still agreed. After some time, she came to the ancient pathway again and saw Qin Zheng and his wife. She nodded lightly to them. Mother, Nichang's personality is like this. Please don't mind her. Qin Dang Tian spoke. As expected of a supreme beauty. Compared to me when I was young, she isn't inferior at all. She is extremely compatible with my son Dang Tian. Qin Zheng's wife smiled. She didn't mind Nichang's attitude. Such a beauty naturally had her own personality. She wouldn't mind such a minor matter. Nick Hang, after I return, I will discuss with Dang Er's father about a good date. After you join our Qin clan, we will definitely not mistreat you. In the future, you will be the mother of the Qin clan. Qin Zheng's wife smiled. Nichang's expression didn't change at all. She was as calm as ever, like her heart was like still water. You shouldn't interfere in the matters of youngsters. You might make Nick Hang feel awkward. Qin Zheng smiled. Nick Hang, you and Danger should go. Father, mother, we will go and cultivate. Qin Dang Tian nodded. After that, he left together with Nick Hang, flying towards the constellation in the air. After they left, the smile on Qin Zheng's wife's face vanished. She spoke. I once heard some bad rumors regarding the legendary place in Tiandao's Sacred Academy. Do you know about this matter? Qin Zheng's eyes flashed. He naturally knew about this matter. If not, he wouldn't have brought the three world overlords of the Qin clan to kneel and apologize to deity Chu. It was because he didn't want Nichang's reputation to suffer any damage. How could his daughter-in-law have any scandals? I've already settled this matter. There's no need to care too much about these minor matters. Back then, didn't he also like you? Given how outstanding Nick Hang is, it's only normal that she attracted his son's attention. Qin Zheng calmly spoke. You should know about the relationship between deity Chu and Qin Tiangang. Qin Yuanfeng has also paid a visit to deity Chu many times before. Deity Chu treats him much more cordially compared to you. I don't feel it strange that Nick Hang has a connection with his son, and wouldn't mind such a minor matter. However, his son hasn't been captured even now. This shouldn't be the case. Qin Zheng's wife coldly spoke. Her voice contained a hint of imposingness. As the mother of the Qin clan, Qin Zheng's wife, she naturally wasn't an ordinary woman. Qin Zheng's eyes flashed with coldness. Indeed, even a heavenly deity of his Qin clan, Qin Zhong, died. However, Qin Wentian was still nowhere to be found. Let me give you an idea. The heaven vault has opened and experts are everywhere. Do you think Qin Yuanfeng's son would miss this opportunity? Qin Zheng's wife spoke. Qin Zheng's eyes flashed. He dares to come here? Why wouldn't he dare? Back then, what didn't Qin Yuanfeng dare to do? He knew he would die for sure, and even dared to kill his way into the Qin clan. Qin Zheng's wife turned her gaze to the experts in the starry space. Maybe he was hiding among the crowd. Qin Zheng's eyes flashed. Since Qin Wentian could survive Qin Zhong's pursuit, it wasn't strange for him to have some concealment methods. This was indeed an idea. Chapter 1884. Qin Zhong inclined his head and stared at the starry space before him. The experts who came here have all entered their respective constellations to cultivate. Even if Qin Wentian was here, it wouldn't be easy for him to locate them. This was the starry space and not the ground. If it was on the ground, his immortal sense would be able to envelop this boundlessly vast region, making it so that no one would be able to escape his eyes. But in the 9 heavenly layers, no matter how strong his immortal sense was, it was impossible for him to scan them. A single constellation in the 9 heavenly layers was already sufficiently vast, comparable to an immortal realm. Some people wanted to head to a constellation that was further away. If it wasn't for this ancient pathway that could shorten the distance, it was unknown how long they would have to spend if they had to travel by themselves. This ancient pathway seemed to be able to extend all the way to the 9 heavenly layers. Tell everyone to pay attention. Let's go to the constellations to take a look. Didn't you always want to go to the 9 heavenly layers? Now that you have finally arrived, it can be considered as fulfilling your dream. Qin Zhong held his wife's hand. The two of them walked forward together. Many people felt envy when they saw them. That was the Qin clan leader and Qin mother. Yet their relationship was still so good. Even the 2 leaders of the Qin clan were filled with curiosity towards the constellations, let alone the others. For the next few years, more and more people came here. After a few years, it could be said that over half of the peak characters of the supreme ancient immortal realms had appeared here. Luo Xinchuan also came. He came together with the demon sovereigns of the demon god mountain. When he saw the boundless starry space, his heart was filled with shock. This was too mystical. Luo Xinchuan and the others flew towards the constellations. For stellar martial cultivators, when they saw the source of their cultivation, the constellations, one could very well imagine how they would feel. Today in the sky, a constellation suddenly erupted with a startling radiance. This constellation was even brighter compared to the other constellations, shining with a dazzling light. This caused many people to turn their gazes over. They could see that the might of the great Tao was condensing on that constellation. Above that constellation, a human silhouette could be seen standing there. Originally, a person should be extremely tiny when standing on a constellation, but that constellation seemed to be able to reflect his silhouette in the light. That was a slender and extraordinarily handsome young man. At this moment, astral light flowed unceasingly around him, like divine essence cleansing his body. He's receiving the heavenly Tao. This is attaining the Tao. The eyes of some experts gleamed with sharpness. On the ancient heaven vault pathway, the first person to attain the Tao appeared. He was about to break through to the heavenly deity realm. Heavenly deities, this was an achievement that countless people would never be able to reach in their entire lives. But now, there was actually someone who managed to do so within a few years of arriving on a constellation. Naturally, this was also possible because his cultivation base wasn't too far away from the heavenly deity realm. After that, he naturally broke through to the heavenly deity realm and everything happened naturally. Another heavenly deity would appear in the supreme ancient immortal realms. Someone spoke. Heavenly deities were the ultimate peak existences in the supreme ancient immortal realms. Heavenly deities could establish heavenly deities, and even among the peak powers of the supreme ancient immortal realms, heavenly deities were considered the true core strength. He didn't know which force this heavenly god belonged to. Many people realized that they did not know the expert who had stepped into the divine state. That young man who broke through to the heavenly deity realm stood on the constellation, guiding the Tao into his body. A world appeared around him. It felt like he wanted to fuse together with the heavenly Taos and the constellation. Within this world, a terrifying energy circulated around it. This energy was none other than the samsara cycle. After cultivating for 2 lifetimes, I finally made up for the regrets of my previous life and stepped out on a path that I had never walked before. The young man drew in a deep breath. He was none other than Hua Taishu. In his previous life, he was already a character that stood at the peak of the supreme ancient immortal realms. He was a heavenly deity. However, although heavenly deities were the peak powers of the supreme ancient immortal realms, there were far more than a single heavenly deity in the supreme ancient immortal realms. Also, there were strong and weak ones. As for this heavenly deity, he once felt defeated because of a deity-level battle. He was unwilling to accept this. He wanted to recultivate and comprehend an even stronger heavenly Tao. Hence, he entered his own cycle of reincarnation and cultivated anew until his master, the myriad incarnations immortal king, died in his embrace. Only then did his memories awaken once more. He knew who he was and what he wanted to pursue in the future. Upon seeing Hua Taishu achieving his Tao, many world overlords had looks of envy on their faces. When would they be able to comprehend their own heavenly Taos and step into the true legendary realm, the peak of the supreme ancient immortal realms? This time around it was an opportunity. They had to grab hold of it or no one knew what would happen to them in the future. In the blink of an eye many years passed. In the boundless starry space on the constellations above, another expert achieved his Tao. When he achieved his Tao, the constellation he was on grew brighter, resembling a unique constellation in the starry space. Before comprehending the Tao, tens of years were nothing. To experts who could reach this place, 100 or 1,000 years was like a white steed flashing by in the blink of an eye. But in the external world of the immortal realms, the commotion caused by the heaven vault was still ongoing. This storm has already lasted for tens of years. It was rumored that right now, many peak experts of the supreme ancient immortal realms have all headed to the heaven vault. Countless world overlords of the supreme ancient immortal realms have all arrived at the boundless sea region outside the heaven vault. Right now, this sea region could even be buried by the sea of people. Countless experts from the various regions of the supreme ancient immortal realms all rushed here. They received news after news that during these years, there were already several peak characters who achieved their Taos and became heavenly deities. However, there was something strange. It was said that these people who achieved their Taos were all experts who had entered the legendary place of the Tiandao Sacred Academy. Many people sighed in admiration. Seems like the legendary place of the Tiandao Sacred Academy truly lived up to its name. It helped those supreme geniuses to build a solid foundation, allowing them to comprehend their Taos here in the starry space. In the azure mystic immortal realms, in the Emperor Palace, Qing'er, Qingcheng, Yiqianyu, Princess Kitamura, even the experts from the Battle Saint tribe, the myriad Devil Islands, Chongqing the Great, the Southern Phoenix Matriarch and the others were all waiting. They all knew about the events that happened in the supreme ancient immortal realms, and knew that the heaven vault had opened. During these years they didn't take the initiative to disturb Qin Wentian. From the news transmitted back from the Qingcheng realm, there were already quite a few experts who managed to verify their Taos. They knew of Qin Wentian's desire to become a heavenly deity. They were filled with anticipation that Qin Wentian would also be able to obtain his Tao. For countless days and nights, Mo Qingcheng and Qing'er would stare at the starry sky, thinking about the person they missed. Was he currently in the boundless starry sky? Time continued to flow. Qin Wentian no longer stayed on a single constellation. During these years he traveled to many constellations, comprehending different types of energy and different types of heavenly Taos. Every time he had free time he would send a message to Qingcheng and Qing'er, telling them not to worry about him. Today, Qin Wentian once again returned to a sword-type constellation. He released his sword-type astral soul, an astral soul that originated from the 8th heavenly layer. Constellations by themselves contain heavenly Taos. In that case, astral souls originate from constellations. Astral souls by themselves should be the Tao. Qin Wentian silently mused. The insights I gained in the past weren't wrong. His body floated in the air above the constellation. His dazzling astral soul was repelling the astral energy in the surroundings. Astral souls could form the Tao, but they were also the carriers of the great Tao. The Tao of astral souls wasn't limited to a single type of energy. It was able to fuse and comprehend the various types of energy. For example, the Tao might radiating from this sword-type constellation was in the form of a sword. However, its Tao didn't only contain a single type of energy. That was the source origin of the Tao. It was merely the foundation of the heavenly Tao. Each constellation was a world, and a world naturally wouldn't only contain a single type of energy. There would be all types of energy, it was just that one of them was the main body. Right now, Qin Wentian was using the sword as a breakthrough point. The various types of energy entered his body, fusing into his sword-type astral soul. Gradually, a terrifying sword domain manifested around the constellation, repelling all external energy. This was because the Tao he comprehended was different from the Tao of the constellation. The sword domain of his astral soul grew increasingly resplendent, radiating light in all directions as it expanded outwards. This sword domain contained a terrifying amount of energy. Finally, an extremely resplendent beam of light radiated outwards. Qin Wentian's astral soul transformed into a heavenly sword that floated in the air. This entire space seemed to have transformed into a sword domain world. Within this sword domain world, sword intent flowed unceasingly, as though it could penetrate through space and time. "Is this the Tao?" Qin Wentian mumbled. In an instant, boundless sword intent gushed forth from the constellation. With the ancient sword floating behind him as the center, the boundless sword intent slowly circulated. At this moment, this constellation became extremely dazzling, attracting the attention of everyone in the world. Someone broke through again? Many people had strange expressions on their faces as they stared at this constellation. They actually didn't know who this person was. Could there really be such a powerful hidden heaven chosen that existed in this world? Qin Zheng and his wife were currently cultivating on a constellation. At this moment, the gazes of the two of them also turned in the direction of the constellation. The eyes of Qin Zheng's wife flickered with a terrifying golden light as she stared at the constellation Qin Wentian was on. At the instant her eyes landed on Qin Wentian, the golden light seemed to be restoring Qin Wentian's countenance. That disguise was directly stripped away, and Qin Wentian's disguise was being torn apart bit by bit. When she saw his countenance clearly, a sense of familiarity appeared in her heart. This sense of familiarity caused her beautiful eyes to flash with a dazzling light. Qin Wentian's countenance resembled him. Not only that, his countenance had been altered. His son has actually comprehended to such a level? Qin Zheng's wife spoke. Qin Zheng's eyes flickered as he stared at Qin Wentian. "Are you saying that it's him?" "There's no mistake." A smile could be seen on his wife's face. However, the smile on her beautiful face gave off a feeling of coldness. Chapter 1885. Qin Zheng stared in the direction of Qin Wentian as coldness flashed in his eyes. He knew what sort of ability his wife cultivated. Since he was certain that the person she was looking for was Qin Wentian, there shouldn't be any mistake. "Let's go," Qin Zheng spoke. After that, he stepped out, speeding towards the constellation where Qin Wentian was at. The speed of the two of them was incomparably fast. In the field of vision, there was basically no way to see their afterimages. They vanished the moment they appeared, speeding through the starry space. And at this moment, Qin Wentian was still in a state of cultivation. His foundation hadn't stabilized yet, and he was still sensing his own strength. He didn't notice that there were two silhouettes moving closer and closer to him. Deng. At this moment, Qin Zheng's wife transmitted a voice transmission to Qin Dangtian. Qin Dangtian replied, "Mother, what's wrong? The son of your clan uncle has appeared. He is none other than the person who is currently breaking through. Head there immediately." Qin Zheng's wife spoke. On another constellation, Qin Dangtian stared at Qin Wentian as a cold light flashed in his eyes. Qin Wentian actually disguised his appearance? Killing intent flashed in his eyes. Nick Hang was about to become his wife. He could ignore the matters between her and Qin Wentian, but Qin Wentian must not be left alive. With a flash of his silhouette, he also flew towards the constellation where Qin Wentian was at. Other than them, There was another person who had been paying attention to Qin Wentian. Qin Wentian's grandfather Luo Xinchuan. When he came here, he contacted Qin Wentian and knew that the person who was currently breaking through was none other than his grandson. Luo Xinchuan felt gratified in his heart. His grandson's cultivation talent had already surpassed his parents', but at this moment he saw two figures walking through the starry space. These two figures were incomparably tiny and insignificant in the starry space. However, the vision of heavenly deities was also extremely powerful. When he saw them walking towards Qin Wentian, his eyes flashed with a dazzling light. He immediately took out his messaging crystal and spoke, "Wentian, Qinzheng and his wife have discovered you. They are currently rushing towards your direction." Qin Wentian, who was in the midst of cultivation, abruptly opened his eyes and halted his cultivation. His silhouette flickered as he left with no hesitation, directly stepping out of the constellation and flying towards the starry space. His speed was also incomparably fast. The direction he was heading towards was the ancient Heaven Vault pathway. If he used the ancient Heaven Vault pathway, he would be able to take a shortcut and would be able to reach a very high altitude. When his silhouette vanished from the constellation no longer reflected his silhouette. The beautiful eyes of Qinzheng and his wife flickered as they halted their steps. He left. Qinzheng frowned. Although they saw Qin Wentian's silhouette earlier, that was merely through the projection of the constellation. In truth, the distance between them and Qin Wentian was extremely far. The distance between constellations in the starry space was equivalent to crossing an entire world. Even with the cultivation bases of Qinzheng and his wife, it wasn't something they could reach in a short period of time. He's there. At this moment, Qinzheng's wife turned her gaze towards the ancient Heaven Vault pathway and found Qin Wentian's silhouette. The two of them instantly changed their direction and sped towards the ancient Heaven Vault pathway. Qin Wentian actually wanted to fly towards the 9 heavenly layers. Seems like he discovered them and wanted to hide in the boundless starry space. Luo Xinchuan was also rushing over there. Qin Wentian traversed numerous astral rivers. It was like he wanted to reach the end of the 9 heavenly layers. "Vile spawn, why are you fleeing in such a hurry after seeing your uncle?" Qinzheng roared into the air. His voice seemed to contain a magical power, penetrating through the 9 heavenly layers and permeating the boundless space, ringing out in Qin Wentian's ears. Qin Wentian's eyes were cold. As expected, he was exposed. He didn't expect that even with his disguising technique, he still couldn't escape from his opponent's eyes. "Qinzheng, back then you were merely someone who was defeated by my father. You relied on the strength of the Qin clan to defeat my father, but now, you are actually the Qin clan leader? What a joke." Qin Wentian spoke, his voice like thunder. The eyes of many who heard his voice flashed as expressions of interest appeared on their faces. After that, some people saw Qin Wentian's countenance gradually changing, returning to his original appearance. So it's him. Those who were acquainted with Qin Wentian had strange looks on their faces. They didn't expect that the person who broke through was him, the son of Qin Yuanfeng of the Qin clan. But now that he was discovered by Qinzheng, most probably, he would be in trouble. Qinzheng, the Qin clan leader, has been in charge of the Qin clan for many years. His cultivation base was already unfathomably deep. Even his son Qin Dangtian was known as Heaven's Son. Ordinary heavenly deities wouldn't be a match for him at all. In addition, Qin Wentian just broke through and hasn't completely stepped through that gate. He hasn't even condensed his final astral soul yet. Luo Xinchuan is rushing over. Someone saw Luo Xinchuan, the former clan leader of the Luoshan clan. Seems like things were about to get lively. Right now, experts from the supreme ancient immortal realms gathered here. It was unknown how many people there were. They were all scattered around the constellations that were closer to the ancient path. When they saw the situation on the ancient path, all of them had expressions of interest on their faces. In fact, there were even some who sped towards the ancient path, preparing to watch the show. "Vile spawn, your father was a traitor in the past. Who would have thought that he would give birth to a vile spawn like you? Don't flee anymore, it's useless. Uncle won't kill you." Qinzheng continued. Qin Wentian continued madly rushing forward. At the same time, he already arrived at the highest point of the 9 heavenly layers. He passed through numerous astral rivers and arrived at the peak of the 9 heavenly layers, wanting to reach the end. An extremely terrifying pressure enveloped boring down on Qin Wentian, causing him to feel his footsteps becoming heavy. In the 9 heavenly layers, when one tried to sense it, the higher one went, the greater the pressure would be. The truth was indeed so. The higher the altitude, the more terrifying the energy contained within the constellations. In the past, there were heavenly deities who tried to ascend, but they didn't dare to casually enter. At the end of the ancient path, there was a stone monument with the words God's extinction path engraved on it. God's extinction. It was like if one continued forward, it would be a dead end. The ancient path was severed, and ahead of him was a boundless universe. In that universe, Qin Wentian actually saw a few corpses floating there, causing him to feel a chill in his heart. Qin Wentian's silhouette flashed as he decisively left the ancient path, heading towards the starry space at the side. This place was already the 9th heavenly layer. Even with his current cultivation base, he already felt extremely uncomfortable here. It was like he was being suppressed. There weren't many constellations here, and the distance between each constellation was very far apart. However, the energy contained within each constellation was extremely terrifying. If I break through in the heaven vault, I can directly walk to the end of the ancient path and condense a connection with the constellations in the 9 heavenly layers. A thought flashed through Qin Wentian's mind, but he didn't think too much about it. Qin Zheng was already catching up to him. "Vile spawn, you still dare to flee?" Qin Zheng's voice rang out. It felt like his voice was right behind Qin Wentian. He stood in the starry space and turned his head back, staring at the 2 silhouettes that were getting closer and closer. If he continued to flee, it was already meaningless. The 2 of them soared through the starry space. Qin Wentian's gaze couldn't catch their silhouettes, and soon they arrived before Qin Wentian, standing in the starry space. Qin Wentian surveyed the 2 before him. He had met them before a very long time ago. In the memories of his father, the tiny astral being, the man was Qin Zheng, and the woman was none other than the heaven chosen of the Qin clan, whom his father had a crush on when he was young. After that, she married Qin Zheng, and now she was already the mother of the Qin clan. She was indeed very beautiful, exuding a noble aura. Her thin red lips had a faint smile on them, but it caused Qin Wentian to feel a sense of coldness. "As expected, he resembles your father. Is he still alive?" the woman asked. Right now, the Qin clan speculated that Qin Yuanfeng might still be alive. "Naturally, he is doing very well. You guys will meet him sooner or later and slaughter your way to the Qin clan once again." Qin Wentian was very calm when facing the 2 of them. "Is that so? I heard your name is Wentian. Has your father mentioned me to you before?" The woman still had a smile on her face. "My father once said that when he was young, his eyesight wasn't good and he treated you guys as his family and friends. In addition, he once felt that you were beautiful, but after he met my mother, he felt that he was blind back then." Qin Wentian smiled. "Your father wouldn't say that. He isn't as sharp-tongued as you." The woman smiled confidently, like she understood Qin Yuanfeng very well. "Vile creature, since you are a junior, I don't wish to act against you. Destroy your own cultivation base and follow me back to the Qin clan. Since you have the bloodline of my Qin clan, I won't kill you." Qin Zheng stood with his hands behind his back as he spoke arrogantly. He had such confidence. He was Qin Zheng, the clan leader of the Qin clan. "Qin Zheng also said the same thing to you." Qin Wentian laughed. Qin Zheng wanted him to destroy his own cultivation base and return to the Qin clan? How ridiculous. If that was the case, he might as well die in battle. How did Qin Zheng die? Qin Zheng thought of Qin Zheng as he coldly asked. "I killed him," Qin Wentian replied. "If not, who else do you think I killed him?" He, at that time when you were a world overlord, who else participated in the killing of Qin Zheng?" Qin Zheng continued to interrogate. "If you don't believe me, why bother asking?" Qin Wentian calmly spoke. "How stubborn. Since you are unwilling to cripple your own cultivation base, I can only act." Qin Zheng calmly spoke. As the sound of his voice faded, a fearsome heavenly might bore down, enveloping this entire starry space. Qin Wentian only felt himself being enveloped by the absolute power of the great Tao. A supreme formation seemed to have appeared in this space as divine Tao light flashed. At this moment, Qin Wentian felt his body being imprisoned. There seemed to be boundless divine Tao light piercing through the starry space, locking down everything. Qin Wentian's body, his feet, his surroundings were all filled with divine Tao light that intersected with one another, resembling a divine formation. Qin Wentian was in the center of the divine Tao light. He couldn't even move his body. Qin Zheng, he had another title in the supreme ancient immortal realms. Ever since he became the clan leader of the Qin clan, very few people mentioned his name. Qin Zheng's name already had enough weight. His other title was none other than the Divine Punishment Heavenly Deity. Qin Zheng waved his finger and in an instant, the divine formation formed from divine Tao light slashed down divine punishment, wanting to split apart the heavens and earth, annihilating all existences as it slashed towards Qin Wentian. He controlled the might of this attack and wouldn't directly kill Qin Wentian. Qin Wentian's life was still useful. Chapter 1886. Qin Wentian inclined his head and stared at the starry space. This stretch of the sky transformed into a world of divine punishment. There seemed to be a divine formation appearing in the starry space. Beneath his feet, resplendent divine light could be seen. This entire space was enveloped by the divine formation, causing his body to be unable to move at all. Clearly, this wasn't something that could be accomplished with just a single source origin energy. This was Qin Zheng's Tao, the heavenly Tao of divine punishment. Qin Zheng naturally wasn't proficient in just a single source origin energy. However, he was known as the heavenly god of divine punishment. Clearly, the heavenly Tao of divine punishment was his main source of energy, his strongest technique. When you have a divine Tao that transcends all other sources of energy, the other sources of energy naturally weren't that important. They would only be used as support to aid your comprehension, allowing your main Tao to grow stronger, or allowing you to comprehend stronger divine Taos. At this moment, Qin Zheng was like an invincible god-king character, lofty, peering down at this world. He wanted Qin Wentian to suffer divine punishment. The might of the heavenly Tao of divine punishment radiated forth, causing the starry space to be extremely dazzling. Even from extremely far away, one could clearly see the intensity of the light. Many experts in the starry space inclined their heads and glanced over. They instantly understood that a deity-level battle was currently erupting over there. Qin Zheng actually acted. Who is he dealing with? Some heavenly deities who knew of Qin Zheng's methods silently mused when they saw the situation. After that, they stepped out and sped towards the ancient heaven vault pathway. However, all of this had nothing to do with Qin Wentian. Right now, the only thing he could do was to block Qin Zheng's attack. Qin Wentian stretched out his hands. In an instant, a sword domain appeared around him as his sword-type astral soul appeared behind him. Right now, Qin Wentian's astral soul seemed to have transformed into the heavenly Tao, containing boundless sword intent. Each sword within it seemed to contain Tao might as well. Within the sword domain, ancient sword characters also appeared, each of them containing Tao energy. Qin Zheng had an expression of interest on his face when he saw this scene. He could clearly sense the Tao energy Qin Wentian had comprehended. Not bad at all. Qin Wentian could actually faintly sense the power of spacetime within his sword domain. Everything happened in the blink of an eye. Divine punishment descended, wanting to split apart the heavens and earth. However, at this moment, Qin Wentian's sword domain transformed into a river of swords that flowed in reverse, gushing towards the heavenly Tao energy of divine punishment. The light of divine punishment descended upon the sword domain, wanting to shatter everything in its path. However, within the sword domain, even time and space seemed to be frozen. But even so, it wasn't able to completely obstruct the light of divine punishment. The supreme divine Tao light wanted to break through all restraints, wanting to tear apart Qin Wentian's sword Tao. However, the sword river flowed frenziedly, gushing forth endlessly. Although it didn't completely stop the divine punishment, it still managed to obstruct its advance. The light of divine punishment slowed down, as though its might was unceasingly being weakened. Finally, the river of swords transformed into thousands of sword characters that revolved frenziedly. When the divine punishment was about to descend upon Qin Wentian, everything suddenly vanished. The light of divine punishment vanished, the sword river vanished as well. It was like they had vanished into thin air. Almost at the same time, in a faraway place, A heaven-shaking explosion rang out from a constellation. Two different beams of light shot out, blasting apart the constellation as meteors rained down from the sky. These meteors were as big as cities. One could see how powerful their attacks were. If this wasn't in the starry space but on the surface of the supreme ancient immortal realms, deity-level battles, if one didn't intentionally control their attacks, it was possible that an entire city would instantly be turned into dust. This sword Tao. The eyes of those who saw this scene all gleamed with sharpness. Was this someone who had just comprehended a heavenly Tao? This sword Tao actually contained the Tao of spacetime within. In an instant, the attacks were all teleported away. In addition, they also saw the divine punishment energy being weakened. Such a sword Tao could already be considered a spacetime sword Tao. Qin Wentian was just at the initial stage and he already had such power. Most probably it would be even more terrifying in the future. However, Qin Zheng most probably wouldn't give him such a chance. He would definitely bring him to the Qin clan. What a pity. Qin Wentian comprehended the Tao and was at the first step of the heavenly divinity realm. One couldn't say that he had boundless potential. He was a true godlike existence. However, he encountered Qin Zheng. He was Qin Yuanfeng's son, but his opponent was the powerful Qin clan of the Heaven region, Qin Yuanfeng's former clan. He's somewhat similar to your father. Qin Zheng's wife calmly spoke. Qin Zheng didn't say anything. With a wave of his hand, the divine formation grew even more resplendent, unceasingly extending up into the starry space. The entire starry space was enveloped by the divine formation, as terrifying beams of divine punishment light directly locked onto Qin Wentian. This time around, several beams of divine punishment light manifested, causing the starry space to be filled with boundless divine light. Boundless Tao. Most probably, this was the best way to describe this scene. It was too dazzling and resplendent. Qin Zheng, don't you feel any shame for bullying a junior like this? At this moment, a thunderous voice boomed out, shaking the heavens and earth. After that, a beam of light descended as a figure suddenly appeared before Qin Wentian. At the instant he appeared, numerous gigantic space beasts appeared in this starry space. All of them were incomparably large. These space beasts fought directly. There were chaos beasts that shattered constellations with their roars. There were heaven-lifting beasts that crushed divine formations. There were world-shocking devil apes that lifted their palms and blasted out the divine punishment energy. Luoshan clan, Luoshan Chuan. The eyes of the experts who were spectating from afar flashed when they saw who appeared. They naturally heard of the commotion that happened in the desolate region. It was impossible for them to not know about it. Luoshan Chuan, Qin Wentian's maternal grandfather, appeared at the right time. The Qin clan leader, Qin Zheng, and the former clan leader of the Luoshan clan, Luoshan Chuan, were now facing off against each other. The divine punishment energy was blocked, but the divine formation was still as resplendent as ever. Qin Zheng calmly stared at Luoshan Chuan, although you can be considered my elder, you are already old. Back then, you shouldn't have indulged your daughter, causing the decline of the Luoshan clan. Now you still dare to obstruct me? Although I objected to Qin Yuanfeng being together with my daughter back then, I have no choice but to say this. Qin Zheng, as the clan leader of the Qin clan, you are inferior to Qin Yuanfeng. Luoshan Chuan calmly replied. Qin Zheng wasn't angered. In this world, the winner is the king and the loser is the villain. No matter how outstanding Qin Yuanfeng was or if he was more outstanding than him, Qin Zheng was born to be the king of the Qin clan. This has never changed. In the end, he also became the leader of the Qin clan. As for Qin Yuanfeng, he was merely dragging out an ignoble existence. It doesn't matter even if you are one more person. Qin Zheng calmly spoke, as though he was prepared to deal with both Luoshan Chuan and Qin Wentian at the same time. To Qin Zheng, Qin Wentian merely just comprehended the Tao and could be destroyed with a wave of his hand. At his level of cultivation, an additional Qin Wentian wouldn't affect him at all. As soon as he finished speaking, the divine formation shone again. Behind him, an incomparably resplendent light appeared. It was as if he was carrying a world on his back. The light of divine punishment shot out from that world, wanting to descend into the mortal world and destroy all living things. Wentian, leave. Luoshan Chuan spoke to Qin Wentian. He also understood that if Qin Zheng fought against him, An additional Qin Wentian wouldn't affect him much. For example, if Qin Wentian fought against someone at the same level as him, other than courting death, what use would a world overlord be? After all, Qin Wentian just comprehended the great Tao. No matter how high his talent was, it was impossible for him to shake an existence like Qin Zheng. The Qin clan leader was one of the few characters with the most authority in the heaven region. Where can he escape to? At this moment, another voice rang out. Qin Dangtian walked over from afar and arrived beside Qin Zheng. He stared at Luo Shenchuan and Qin Wentian. His expression was calm when he looked at Qin Wentian, like he basically didn't place Qin Wentian in his eyes at all. Qin Wentian was merely the son of a traitor. If it wasn't for the rumors about him and Nick Hang in the world of reincarnation, Qin Wentian wouldn't even have any weight in his heart. Danger, you came at the right time. The beautiful eyes of Qin Zheng's wife flashed with a faint smile. Qin Dangtian came at the right time. Qin Wentian was the son of her and Qin Zheng. He was the most suitable person to deal with Qin Wentian. Father, mother, leave the traitor son of my Qin clan to me. Qin Dangtian casually spoke, his tone calm as though Qin Wentian was insignificant. Right? Qin Zheng calmly nodded. Although it wasn't a problem for him to deal with Qin Wentian while dealing with Luo Shenchuan, since his son Qin Dangtian was here, he would naturally leave Qin Wentian to him to deal with. Qin Wentian stared at Qin Zheng and Qin Dangtian. Pride could be seen in his eyes as he coldly laughed. Traitor son, the Qin clan isn't worthy of my father's existence. Qin Zheng, back then you were defeated by my father. Your son is also inferior to me. Back then in Tiandao Sacred Academy, you once said that I don't understand the heavenly Tao and have no qualifications to speak. However, you are known as Heaven's Son. How many years did you spend to comprehend the Tao? Qin Wentian calmly spoke. Qin Dangtian stared at Qin Wentian as he calmly spoke. What do you want to say? Up until now, I've cultivated for less than 1,000 years. What about you? Qin Wentian calmly spoke. His words caused the hearts of many to tremble. Comprehending the great Tao in less than 1,000 years? What sort of cultivation speed and talent was this? Even Qin Zheng and his wife felt their hearts trembling. However, their expressions were as calm as ever. So what if Qin Yuanfeng's talent was high? Wasn't Qin Yuanfeng strong? What was his ending? Qin Dangtian didn't reply. The time he spent comprehending the great Tao was indeed much longer compared to Qin Wentian. You were born in the Qin clan and had countless cultivation resources. As for me, I grew up in a particle world. You proclaim yourself to be Heaven's Son and are proud of it. But before me, what qualifications do you have to be Heaven's Son? Qin Wentian mocked. Your father wouldn't be as talkative as you. He actually used the time he spent cultivating to compare the two of us. Qin Zheng's wife coldly laughed. Danger, capture him and let him understand what it means to be Heaven's Son. Right? Qin Dangtian nodded. He lifted his feet and walked towards Qin Wentian, only to see Qin Wentian moving to the side. Since Qin Dangtian wanted to fight, he would naturally accompany him. He also wanted to know how strong Qin Dangtian, who was known as Heaven's Son, was exactly. Chapter 1887. In the starry space, Luo Shenchuan faced against Qin Zheng. Qin Dangtian and Qin Wentian, this pair of fated enemies, stood opposite each other. Just like what Luo Shenyu said, they were destined to be enemies since birth. More and more experts rushed over here. They stared at the figures before them, feeling that things were extremely interesting. In fact, there was even some anticipation in their hearts. There was no need to say much about the battle between Qin Zheng and Luo Shenchuan. The battle between Qin Zheng's son and Qin Yuanfeng's son also caused many people to be filled with anticipation. Back then, there were many rumors about the battle between Qin Zheng and Qin Yuanfeng. Many people said that Qin Yuanfeng's talent and strength were above Qin Zheng's, but ultimately, Qin Yuanfeng died. Many years later, Qin Zheng ascended and became the Qin clan leader. That legend of the Qin clan ended with Qin Zheng's complete victory. But what everyone didn't expect was that the grudge between the Qin clan and Qin Yuanfeng still continued. Maybe Qin Yuanfeng didn't die. His son grew up in a particle world, but he came all the way to the supreme ancient immortal realms, and even comprehended the Tao after 1,000 years. Qin Dangtian stared at the young man before him. His gaze was still filled with incomparable arrogance. disregarding everything. Did he comprehend the Tao? So what of it? Just like what you have said. Back then in the Tiandao Sacred Academy, I once told you that you don't understand the heavenly Das. Now you think you understand? However, I will tell you that you still don't. Qin Dongtian's arrogance was incomparable. He was the heaven's son and was destined to be extraordinary. He had comprehended the heavenly Daos for many years and was the heavenly Daos itself. His Tao wasn't limited to just one. I hope your strength is as impressive as what you have shown me. If not, wouldn't my words be filled with mockery? Qin Wen calmly replied. However, he didn't dare to underestimate his opponent in his heart. After cultivating for so long, he naturally understood that the higher one's cultivation base was, the greater the disparity would be. Back then when he broke through to the World Overlord realm, he already understood that the disparity between World Overlords wasn't just a little bit. The moment he broke through to the World Overlord realm, he was already extraordinary. Ordinary World Overlords couldn't even withstand a single strike from him. But at that time he was nothing in front of hegemonic level World Overlords. Now that he had reached the heavenly deity realm, even if he was in the same realm, the difference in comprehension would only be greater than in the World Overlord realm. Qin Dongtian was the heaven's son. After he broke through to the heavenly deity realm, he defeated the Sky Order heavenly deity in his first battle. From this one could see his talent. Right now he would only grow stronger. When he was in the Tiandao Sacred Academy, ancient words revolved around him. Each word contained a type of heavenly Tao energy, causing the three heavenly deities of the Tiandao Sacred Academy to sigh in admiration. After that, Qin Dongtian was directly snatched away by an unknown heavenly hand from the Tiandao Sacred Academy. He was humiliated, and after he returned, he went into closed-door seclusion to cultivate. It was rumored that after he exited his seclusion, he was even stronger than before. This was Qin Dongtian. However, he had just comprehended the Sword Tao. From this, one could very well imagine the pressure he had to face now. However, he was still fearless. This battle was unavoidable. Qin Dongtian laughed arrogantly and didn't say anything more. Only a battle could prove everything. His opponent had just comprehended the Tao, and he already wanted to fight against him? Was he dreaming? The ancient words revolved around him. Each of them contained an incomparably vast amount of heavenly Tao energy. His father, Qin Zheng, mainly cultivated the divine punishment heavenly Tao. However, Qin Dongtian was different. He had his own Tao, a completely different Tao. The path he was walking on was different. He cultivated many Taos at the same time, and was known as the Heaven's Son. At this moment, many halos revolved around Qin Dongtian. He was like an undefeatable divinity, able to look down on everything in this world. He stepped out and pointed a finger at Qin Wentian. In an instant, an ancient character slashed out with extreme speed, slamming into Qin Wentian. At this moment, the boundlessly vast space around Qin Wentian was enveloped by a suppressive might that could bind the heavens and earth. It was like the myriad of laws in the world wanted to lock him in place. That was the word lock, wanting to seal time and space, locking Qin Wentian in place. Qin Wentian's heart was as calm as still water. He stared at the incoming word lock. A sword domain appeared behind him, and after that, a similar ancient word manifested. The word sword abruptly shot out, traversing through space, leaving behind a resplendent beam of sword light in the starry space. The two ancient words clashed together, causing a resplendent light to erupt. The terrifying light illuminated the starry space. A casual clash between two heavenly deities would definitely result in a shocking amount of power. Not too bad. Qin Dongtian calmly spoke. Abruptly, many ancient words lock floated behind him. In an instant, the starry space seemed to be locked in place. The might it exuded was overwhelming to the extreme. However, I really want to see if your cultivation base can allow me to unleash 10% of my strength. As the sound of Qin Wentian's voice faded, many ancient words erupted forth at the same time, shooting towards the space Qin Wentian was in. In an instant, the power of the great Tao enveloped the entire starry space. A gigantic lock rune directly appeared in the space, locking onto Qin Wentian. The countless ancient words floated around the gigantic rune, transforming into a heaven-locking force. numerous illusory runes directly slammed into Qin Wentian, causing him to feel that he couldn't move at all. After that, even more ancient words erupted forth from Qin Wentian. It was almost impossible to see what these words were, but they were about to descend upon Qin Wentian, penetrating through everything as a fearsome destructive might brewed within. A boundless sword domain enveloped Qin Wentian, enveloping him who was locked down by the lock rune. This sword domain seemed to drag his body as it spun around. After that, stellar transposition appeared and Qin Wentian's body seemed to vanish into thin air, breaking the lock of the rune. In the next instant, Qin Wentian's figure suddenly appeared before Qin Wentian as he slashed out with his sword. The moment this sword appeared, time and space froze. Only the sword could devour everything. Qin Dangtian stretched out his hand and blasted out a palm imprint. In an instant, the ancient word halo transformed into a resplendent screen of light, blocking before him. The space-time sword might slashed onto the screen, tearing it apart. However, the sword might dissipate it as well. However, this was merely the beginning. Sword light flashed. A boundless sword domain manifested around Qin Dangtian, locking him within. A beam of sword light descended from the heavens, cleaving apart time and space, wanting to destroy everything. Before this sword domain dissipated, another beam of sword light erupted forth from another direction. Everyone only saw that in an instant, Qin Dangtian's surroundings had already transformed into a world of swords. In that world there was only the Tao of swords. Qin Dangtian inclined his head and stared at the boundless sword might gushing towards him. His gaze was as calm as ever. He blasted out with both hands as numerous ancient words erupted forth. Numerous ancient words blasted into his surroundings. At this moment a divine wall appeared around Qin Dangtian, impervious to all das. This divine wall contained countless ancient words. No matter how the sword domain tried to tear it apart, it had no way to break through this layer of defense. Qin Dangtian stood within it, feeling incomparably calm. Continue. Qin Dangtian calmly spoke. It was as though Qin Wentian's attack was insignificant to him, not worthy of a mention. Wentian, be careful. His divine wall can absorb the energy of your attacks and counterattack. Luoshan Chuan called out to Qin Wentian. Back then when Luoshan Yu fought against Qin Dangtian, it was precisely because he underestimated Qin Dangtian's Tao energy that he suffered a backlash. After that, he was defeated and his cultivation base was crippled. Right now, Qin Wentian was fighting against Qin Dangtian. Although Luoshan Chuan was fighting against Qin Zheng, he was still concerned about Qin Wentian's battle. He couldn't be at ease. Although Qin Wentian's talent was at the peak, it was too difficult for him to win against Qin Dangtian now. Heaven's son. He was already strong enough when he just broke through to the heavenly deity realm. Let alone now, Qin Wentian still needed to completely step into the heavenly deity realm and perfect his Tao before he would have a chance to fight against Qin Dangtian. Qin Wentian's eyes flashed when he heard Luoshan Chuan's voice. After that, a mocking smile appeared on Qin Dangtian's face. So what if he reminded Qin Wentian? He blasted out with his palm and in an instant, the countless ancient characters on the divine wall suddenly erupted forth with a dazzling light. In an instant, the sword energy that Qin Wentian blasted out earlier suddenly blasted out together with the ancient characters on the divine wall, counterattacking back at Qin Wentian. Qin Wentian not only had to endure Qin Dangtian's attack, he also had to endure the many attacks he unleashed earlier. The stronger his attacks were, the stronger the backlash would be. Time and space seemed to have stopped locking down his body. The destructive light blasted forth and at this instant, Qin Wentian truly felt a sense of danger. Sword intent gushed forth from his eyes. At the moment of imminent peril, the might of his Tao actually shot out from his eyes. His sword intent distorted time and space, causing the countless attacks to miss him, whistling past him. Making use of this time, Qin Wentian instantly retreated far away, standing in the starry space. Qin Wentian's eyes flashed with a strange light. He felt that his strength was much stronger compared to Qin Wentian and his cultivation base was deeper. He who had comprehended for many years in the heavenly deity realm, how could he be compared to Qin Wentian who had just comprehended the Tao? Qin Wentian had many layers of Tao arts. All of the ancient characters contained Tao arts within them. This divine wall was a combination of offense and defense, and it could catch Qin Wentian off guard. He initially thought that such an attack would be sufficient to destroy Qin Wentian, causing him to lose his combat strength. Who would have thought that Qin Wentian would actually be able to evade it? This caused him to feel somewhat surprised. Back then, your uncle Luotian Yu was crippled by this attack. Qin Dangtian spoke to Qin Wentian, his words causing Qin Wentian's eyes to gleam with coldness. A heavenly deity, a lofty divinity, actually had his cultivation crippled. I won't play with you anymore. Fighting against you isn't fun at all. You are not qualified yet. Qin Dangtian continued speaking. An even stronger might gushed forth from him. It was like earlier he was merely playing around with Qin Wentian. Only now did he prepare to take this battle seriously and end it. Qin Wentian stared ahead. The demon sword was unsheathed and landed in his hand. In an instant it transformed into a gigantic sword that soared through the starry space. In an instant the space around Qin Wentian changed. He dragged the gigantic sword as he moved forward, and it felt like the starry space was about to be slashed apart. Even heavenly deities would be able to sense how terrifying this aura was. Qin Dangtian stared at Qin Wentian's actions. His expression was as calm as ever, like the wind and the clouds. The divine might radiating from him was still growing stronger. The current Qin Wentian wanted to challenge him? What a fool's dream. Chapter 1888. Qin Wentian dragged the gigantic sword as he released his spacetime sword Dao. His entire body circulated with the sword intent of spacetime, as he released his sword domain astral soul. The astral light from his astral soul frenziedly flowed into the gigantic sword, and at the same time, countless swords appeared around him. The starry space transformed into a world of swords. Qin Dangtian was still unmoved. Even if Qin Wentian, who had just comprehended the great Tao, could erupt forth with strength that was shocking, so what of it? The ending wouldn't be any different. Because the person Qin Wentian was facing was him. Let alone the current Qin Wentian. Even if Qin Wentian stabilized his cultivation base and grew stronger, what could he do to Qin Dangtian? Let me show you my heavenly Tao astral soul. I'll show you what a true Tao is. Qin Dangtian arrogantly spoke. As the sound of his voice faded, he released his astral soul. The Tao of heavenly deities, the Tao was infused into his astral soul. Astral souls were the foundation of the Tao. In the past, Qin Wentian had already comprehended this point. At that time he unleashed his Tao might using his astral soul. Hence, both Luotian Yu and Luotian Chuan knew that Qin Wentian has already touched upon the threshold of the heavenly deity Tao. The astral soul Qin Dangtian released was extremely resplendent. It was an astral soul from the 9th heavenly layer. This was the astral soul he condensed after he became a heavenly deity. This was also the final astral soul he condensed. This astral soul didn't have any form, and was different from the vast majority of astral souls. It was a screen of light that was extremely resplendent. Within it, countless ancient characters could be seen. These characters seemed to originate from the primordial era, and didn't exist in the present. They kept on changing, transforming into new characters. The resplendent light from the astral soul enveloped the starry space. These ancient characters exuded the will of a monarch, transcending everything. At this moment Qin Dangtian was like the true heaven's son, destined by fate. He was a heaven's chosen by the heavens. It's very rare for me to release my 9th astral soul, the absolute beginning astral soul. You should feel honored. I'll let you experience the might of the absolute beginning Tao. Qin Dangtian's tone was filled with incomparable arrogance. Back then when Qin Wentian participated in the convention of the myriad realms, he had once met a hegemonic level expert with the title of the absolute beginning overlord. But in truth, the absolute beginning overlord wasn't worthy of this title. Right now, Qin Dangtian's 9th astral soul was the absolute beginning astral soul, comprehending the absolute Tao. Many heavenly deities stared at Qin Dangtian. They all knew the meaning behind the word, absolute beginning. Since Qin Dangtian dared to use this name, it meant that he was confident and tyrannical. All of them wanted to see how strong Qin Dangtian's absolute beginning heavenly Tao was. Qin Zheng's wife had a faint smile on her face when she saw Qin Dangtian releasing his astral soul. She knew that after her son was humiliated in the Tiandao Sacred Academy, he returned to the Qin clan and entered closed-door seclusion. It was only after he came out did he have some accomplishments in the absolute beginning heavenly Tao. Now this was the first time he displayed this ability before the world. She knew how strong her son was, let alone Qin Wentian. Even if it was some famous heavenly deities in the supreme ancient immortal realms, her son would be able to defeat them. I want him alive. Qin Zheng spoke to Qin Dangtian. He was worried that Qin Dongtian's attacks would be too ferocious, and he might accidentally kill Qin Wentian. If that was the case, his plans would be disrupted. Right now, Qin Wentian mustn't die yet. There was still some use in keeping him alive. Luo Xinchuan was somewhat worried. However, he was being held back by Qin Zheng and had no time to be distracted. In the starry space, there were many experts spectating. The lofty heavenly deities all had expressions of interest on their faces as they watched this deity-level battle. Even for them, it was extremely rare to see a battle between heavenly deities. After all, in the boundlessly vast supreme ancient immortal realms, there were only so many heavenly deities. No one believed in Qin Wentian. Everyone was waiting for Heaven's Son to unleash his brilliance again. The disparity between the two of them was simply too great. Even if Qin Wentian had shocking talent, how could he, who had just comprehended the Tao, fight against Heaven's Son? It was already extremely rare for him to be able to block a few of Qin Dongtian's earlier attacks. Since you have comprehended the sword Tao, in that case, I will use my sword to defeat you. I also want to see how powerful the absolute beginning sword Tao is. Qin Dangtian spoke again. He wanted to use the sword Tao to deal with Qin Wentian. From this, one could very well imagine how proud and confident he was. Naturally, if he truly comprehended the true intent of absolute beginning and his comprehension was very deep, no matter what Tao it was, he would be able to erupt forth with heaven-shaking might. Qin Dangtian stretched out his hand, guiding the sword into the absolute beginning sword Tao. After that, he stabbed out with his finger, go. As the sound of his voice faded, boundless sword light manifested from the absolute beginning sword Tao. At this moment, the entire world transformed into a world of swords. It was like a sword Tao was being brewed in this world. Everyone inclined their heads and stared at the starry space, staring at Qin Dongtian's absolute beginning heavenly Tao. The boundless sword light seemed to be born from the primordial chaos, transforming frenziedly, growing stronger and stronger. After that, it erupted forth and shot towards Qin Wentian. This boundless sword light seemed to grow stronger with every step it took, transforming and evolving on its own. Qin Wentian's body was locked down by the sword intent. The boundless sword light directly traversed the space, locking him in place. Qin Wentian stared at Qin Dongtian's Tao. The absolute beginning heavenly Tao, the sword intent, was actually evolving on its own. Not only that, it continued to grow stronger and stronger. Qin Wentian drew in a deep breath. An incomparably resplendent screen of space-time sword light appeared around him, distorting space, causing the descending sword light to be swept away by the chaotic flow of space-time. But this wasn't the end. The fearsomeness of the absolute beginning sword Tao was that it could evolve on its own, growing stronger unceasingly, absorbing the power of the 10,000 Taos in heaven and earth to create an even stronger Tao art. Waves of terrifying sword intent enveloped the screen of sword light around Qin Wentian, distorting space, causing Qin Wentian's expression to stiffen. The absolute beginning heavenly Tao was borrowing his Tao to evolve an even stronger sword Tao, fusing his Tao art within. In the screen of light Qin Dangtian released, the sword Tao grew stronger and stronger, blasting towards Qin Wentian, wanting to transcend space-time, and was boundless. How powerful! Everyone sighed in admiration. To be able to comprehend such a heavenly Tao, Qin Dangtian was able to grow stronger as he fought against stronger opponents. His comprehension of the heavenly Tao had already reached such a tyrannical level. How terrifying would his future be? Qin Wentian was in the center of the storm. He stared at the absolute beginning heavenly Tao, feeling a little disappointed. Was this the strength of Heaven's Son, his destined enemy? Although he was proud in his heart and had extremely high talent, he couldn't help but to admit how strong Qin Dangtian was when facing against Heaven's Son. At the very least, Qin Dangtian, who had been in the heavenly deity realm for so many years, in terms of his comprehension of the heavenly Tao, it was true that Qin Dangtian was much stronger than him. After all, he had just comprehended his Tao not long ago. In terms of astral souls, he also didn't have an advantage. For the first time, he didn't have an advantage because he hadn't condensed his final astral soul. However, what Qin Dangtian released was his ultimate astral soul. The ninth astral soul, the absolute beginning astral soul. He used the absolute beginning astral soul to comprehend the Tao and infused his Tao into it, forming the absolute beginning Tao. Qin Dangtian was very arrogant, but since he was able to obtain the title of Heaven's Son, even if Qin Wentian didn't want to admit it, Qin Dangtian was truly very powerful. Not everyone in the supreme ancient immortal realms was blind. Not everyone could be called Heaven's Son. Right now, in the supreme ancient immortal realms, there was only one such person. But even if Qin Dangtian was very strong, so strong that it surpassed his imagination, Qin Wentian's battle intent still surged. He could be defeated, but he mustn't lose his battle intent and show cowardice. This was his destined enemy, an opponent he had to defeat no matter what. As long as he didn't die, he would definitely defeat Qin Dangtian in the future. I've been in closed-door seclusion for many years, comprehending the absolute beginning Tao. As the first person to face me, you should feel honored. Qin Dangtian calmly spoke. His sword intent grew even stronger, wanting to slash apart everything. But at this instant, Qin Wentian moved, advancing forward with no hesitation. He slashed out with the sword in his hand. This was his battle intent, his determination. All of this seemed to transcend space-time, ignoring the distance between them and directly slashing towards Qin Dangtian's body. This was the space-time sword Tao. Although it was only at the initial level, it still radiated a radiance that belonged to it. Qin Dangtian suddenly felt a sense of danger. After that, he sensed that the absolute beginning sword Tao seemed to transcend space-time, and was slashing towards his head. His expression changed, and with a shrill howl, the absolute beginning sword Tao erupted forth with boundless transformations, transforming into the strongest attack, similarly transcending space-time and slashing towards Qin Wentian's body. Also, the absolute beginning sword Tao was endless. There was no end to it. A dazzling beam of light that seemed capable of splitting the heavens and earth radiated forth. After that, the spectators only saw the two of them separating from each other. But in that instant of collision, everyone could feel how terrifying it was. A bloody line appeared on Qin Dangtian's body. He stretched out his finger and touched the bloodstain as his expression grew extremely unsightly. He was actually injured. Qin Wentian was in an even more miserable state. His body felt as though it was being cleaved apart. The absolute beginning sword Tao manifested unceasingly, wanting to sever his body. But by relying on his heaven-defying undying energy, he still managed to stand there. However, only he himself understood how badly injured his body was. Even his soul was heavily injured. He actually managed to injure Qin Dangtian. Everyone felt some shock in their hearts. Qin Wentian had just comprehended a heavenly Tao. Although he was heavily injured, he still managed to injure Heaven's Son. This was simply a miracle. Right now, Heaven's Son was much stronger compared to the time when he defeated Luo Xinyu. His absolute beginning heavenly Tao could be said to be terrifying. In the future, if his absolute beginning heavenly Tao improved by another step, it would definitely become a peak-level heavenly Tao. Capture him. At this moment, a few heavenly deities with terrifying auras flew towards Qin Wentian. They were actually preparing to directly attack Qin Wentian. These people were all heavenly deities of the Qin clan. The one who spoke was an old man from the Qin clan. He wanted to capture Qin Wentian alive. Go! Luo Xinchuan shouted. He and Qin Zheng clashed again. The two of them pulled apart, and he took the opportunity to shout at Qin Wentian. If he landed in the hands of the Qin clan, the consequences would be unimaginable. Most probably, no matter how heaven-defying Qin Wentian's talent was, he wouldn't have any chance at all. The Qin clan would never give him a chance. Qin Wentian's heart trembled when he heard his grandfather's roar. After that, his silhouette flashed as he soared through the air. Leave? How should he leave? There was basically no path he could take. When he stepped out, he actually flew towards the God Extinction Ground. At the end of the ancient Heaven Vault pathway. Chapter 1889. At the end of the Heaven Vault pathway, There was a stone tablet with the words God's Extinction Path. Up ahead, in the boundless universe, there were no stars but numerous ancient corpses could be seen floating there. It was unknown how many years have passed since they died, drifting about in the boundless universe. Over there was no aura of life at all. That place was the God's Extinction Path. God's Extinction Path, even for deities they would still die if they entered. That was truly a path of death. But the Qin Wentian right now was already facing a path of death. If he had to choose between death and being captured by the Qin clan, he would rather choose death. Being captured by the Qin clan would be even more painful than death. In addition, there might still be a ray of hope for survival in the God's Extinction Path. Hence, when Qin Wentian arrived here and stared at the stone tablet, he didn't hesitate and stepped out. He walked towards the end of the ancient path, stepping into that desolate universe with no aura of life at all. With so many heavenly deities chasing after him, he had no other choice. Behind him, the heavenly deities of the Qin clan rushed over. Qin Dangtian also walked over and stared ahead. Their expressions were cold, hesitating if they should continue forward or not. The God's Extinction Path, the ancient corpses floating in the universe, the heavy and oppressive aura, the desolate and boundless space, all of these caused them to feel a sense of danger. However, Qin Wentian was currently walking towards that desolate and oppressive space. Now, should they continue to capture him? In fact, even Qin Zheng gave up his battle against Luo Shenchuan and came here. To him, Qin Wentian was much more important compared to Luo Shenchuan. Although he had some grudges with the Luoshan clan, the Qin clan had always been the victors. The Luoshan clan had never shaken the Qin clan before. Hence, he didn't have a strong killing intent towards Luo Shenchuan. What a ruthless fellow. Many heavenly deities silently mused in their hearts when they saw Qin Wentian walking towards the God's Extinction Path. He would rather enter the God's Extinction Path than allow the Qin clan to capture him. Where are you going? Qin Dangtian spoke. After that, he took a step out and also entered the end of the 9 heavenly layers, heading towards the desolate land. Danger! Qin Zheng's wife called out. Her beautiful eyes flashed as she stared at the figure moving forward. Her heart was filled with nervousness. Even for someone as powerful as her, she would still feel fear and respect towards the unknown. After all, this was the God's Extinction Path. At the end of the heaven vault, there were ancient heavenly deity corpses floating there. Who could guarantee that they would be able to return safely? However, Qin Dangtian didn't hesitate and stepped out. He was actually injured by Qin Wentian. This was simply unreasonable. He was fighting against Qin Wentian. How could he allow Qin Wentian to escape? Even if he escaped into the God's Extinction Path, he wouldn't allow it. He wanted him alive. He was the heaven's son and he had his own pride. Hence, he didn't hesitate to enter the God's Extinction Path. Chase. Qin Zheng's wife spoke. Her son entered the God's Extinction Path. At the end of the heaven vault, she naturally had to chase after him. Her silhouette flashed as she entered the desolate space. Qin Zheng's eyes flashed as he also followed after her. Not only was he chasing after them, he also had a trace of ambition in his heart, wanting to explore the end of the ancient path. Luo Shenchuan's expression was extremely unsightly to behold. When he saw Qin Zheng and the others entering, he also followed after them. Have all of you gone mad? At the back, the Qinkuan sect leader stared at those experts who entered the God's Extinction Path. What would happen if all the deities died in there, unable to exit? Could it be that you don't want to see the greatest secret of this heaven vault? The 9 heavens mystical maiden calmly spoke. She was like a celestial maiden from the 9 heavenly layers, incomparably pure and holy. She stood in the air, causing even heavenly deities to fall into her charms. It's still you who understands me the most. The Qinkuan sect leader laughed. After that, he turned behind and shouted, if I can't come out, Lin Xiao will be my successor in the future. His voice shook the heavens and earth, drifting extremely far away. As the sound of his voice faded, he took a step forward. Who doesn't know how to be crazy? Naturally, he didn't do this because he wanted to chase after someone. It was purely because he was curious about the secrets of the heaven vault. After cultivating to his current level, he could already be considered to be standing at the peak of the supreme ancient immortal realms. Only a rare few could stand above him. But now it was extremely difficult for him to take another step forward. He knew that those unknown existences in the supreme ancient immortal realms have long become terrifying characters. How could he not want to step into that realm? The heaven vault was connected to the 9 heavenly layers. The end of the heaven vault was known as the God's extinction path. How could he not be curious about it? The 9 heavens mystical maiden smiled. She floated forward like a celestial maiden from the 9 heavenly layers, heading towards the end of the heaven vault. Even the 9 heavens mystical maiden is heading there? Many people sighed in their hearts. The number 1 celestial maiden in the 9 heavenly layers, a supreme beauty, someone who exuded boundless magnificence. Even she didn't hesitate to enter the God's extinction path. As men, why wouldn't they dare? Hence, more and more experts entered. Most probably, since the ancient times until now, there had never been so many experts who entered the God's extinction path at the same time. The people in the heaven vault were all shocked. If something happened to them, the entire supreme ancient immortal realms would surely be shaken. At the instant Qin Wentian stepped into the God's extinction path, he could already sense how terrifying this place was. There was no astral energy here. It was like no experts could borrow strength from this place. There was only desolation and desolation. Those ancient corpses seemed to be right in front of him, but they also seemed to be very, very far away. He had no way to reach them. He could see the people behind him chasing after him. As he continued upwards, a formless energy flowed in this desolate universe. When Qin Wentian stepped into it, his body actually vanished from sight. The people behind him were all swept into it as well, vanishing from the vision of everyone on the ancient heaven vault path. Where are they? The gazes of the experts on the heaven vault path froze. They personally witnessed the figures disappearing one after another, completely vanishing before their eyes. Regardless of vision or divine sense, they could no longer sense their figures. There wasn't even a trace of their auras left. Qin Wentian naturally sensed the flowing energy. In addition, he was extremely sensitive to it because he had comprehended this energy before. It was the power of space-time. The him at this moment was actually shuttling through space-time. He had no idea where he was heading to. In addition, the laws of space-time here seemed to be completely chaotic, not under his control. He could only drift along with it. He had no other choice. Not only Qin Wentian entered this chaotic space-time flow, the people behind him also entered, drifting through space-time together. God's extinction path. Could it be that those who disappeared in the past were all separated by the chaotic space-time flow? It was unknown where they went to. In this chaotic space-time flow, could they still return to where they came from? Although they were all heavenly deities with incomparably tough wills, it was inevitable for them to feel fear. Fear towards the unknown. Fear of not being able to control their fates. At this moment they saw a tangible object. The space here was no longer desolate. Instead, numerous corridors appeared, intersecting with each other. No one knew which corridor led to where. At this moment Qin Wentian frowned. He could sense that the tiny astral being was moving again, radiating a faint glow. This made him feel somewhat strange. When he entered the heaven vault, the tiny astral being had already moved once. This was already the second time it reacted. Such a situation had never happened before. After walking for a very long time, a silhouette actually appeared in the middle of the long corridor. This silhouette was an old man, but his eyes shone with a piercing light as he stared at Qin Wentian. However, right now, Qin Wentian was still fleeing and had no time to linger. With a flash of his silhouette, the people behind him arrived. One of them asked, "Sir, who might you be?" The old man stared at the newcomers and asked, "Where did you guys come from?" "Heaven Vault." Qin Zheng replied, Heaven Vault. Why must you do this?" The old man let out a long sigh and stepped out. "Old sir, you have yet to tell us your name. Could it be that you are also from the supreme ancient immortal realms?" Someone asked. "This old man is called Juqing." The old man calmly spoke. After that, his figure gradually vanished. When they heard his name, the expressions of some heavenly deities changed as shock could be seen on their faces. Taoist Juqing. They exchanged mutual glances. An extremely ancient and powerful heavenly deity. There were records of him in the ancient records. Back then he once dominated the supreme ancient immortal realms and roamed about alone, rarely suffering defeat. It was unknown how terrifying he was. Everyone in the world thought that he had died, but in reality, he was trapped in the god's extinction path at the end of the heaven vault. Qin Wentian casually walked through the corridor. He saw a second person. This person was incomparably suave and had long hair. He sat in the middle of the corridor and was currently playing a flute. A melodious melody drifted out from the flute, extremely pleasing to the ears. What a handsome silhouette! A feeling of familiarity appeared in Qin Wentian's heart, as though they had met before. When that person saw Qin Wentian, he stopped playing the flute. His handsome eyes stared at Qin Wentian as a strange light flashed in his eyes. Qin Wentian walked past him. That person suddenly called out, "Who is Qin Yuanfeng to you?" Qin Wentian's body trembled violently. He halted and turned his head, staring at that handsome figure as shock filled his heart. "You are acquainted with my father?" Qin Wentian asked. "So it is Yuanfeng's son." That person smiled, his gaze grew warmer. But at this moment, Qin Dangtian and the others arrived. Qin Dangtian took the lead and stared at Qin Wentian. "Even if you walk to the end of the heavens, you won't be able to escape." The god's extinction path was the end of the heavens. From a certain perspective, they had indeed walked to the end of the heavens. "Who are you?" That handsome figure stared at Qin Dangtian as he asked. "Who are you? Why are you acquainted with the traitor of my Qin clan, Qin Yuanfeng?" Qin Dangtian asked after hearing the conversation between him and Qin Wentian earlier. Qin Zheng and his wife also rushed over. When they stared at that handsome figure, both father and son could sense a sense of familiarity from him. It was like they had met before. "Chu Mo," the handsome figure calmly spoke. As the sound of his voice faded, the eyes of Qin Zheng and his son narrowed as they froze there. "Chu Mo." These two words had an extraordinary meaning to Qin Zheng and his son, because the number one beauty of the heaven region, goddess Nikhang, whom Qin Dangtian was going to marry, was none other than his daughter. Chapter 1890. Qin Dangtian glanced at Chu Mo. Chu Mo was incomparably handsome and extremely carefree. No wonder he could give birth to the number one beauty of the heaven region, goddess Nikhang. Both father and daughter had some similarities, causing him to feel a sense of familiarity. Nephew Dangtian pays his respects to uncle. Qin Dangtian clasped his hands. If Nikhang knew that uncle is still alive, she would surely be very happy. "Nikhang." Chu Mo's eyes trembled. How is his daughter doing outside? "You are acquainted with my daughter?" Chu Mo stared at Qin Dangtian as he asked. "Brother Chu." Qin Zheng stepped out and spoke to Chu Mo. "I've long heard of Brother Chu's name, but sadly, I didn't have the chance to get to know you. I didn't expect that I would be able to meet Brother Chu here. Most probably this is fate. Before I entered the heaven vault, I paid a visit to Uncle Chu and arranged the marriage between my son and Nikhang." "Marriage?" Chu Mo's body trembled. His daughter actually had a marriage arranged? "Who are you?" Chu Mo asked. "The current clan leader of the Qin clan, Qin Zheng. This is my wife and my son, Qin Dangtian." Qin Zheng replied. Chu Mo's gaze landed on Qin Dangtian again. He naturally wasn't unfamiliar with the Qin clan. On the contrary, he was very familiar with the Qin clan. He became famous earlier and was older than Qin Zheng. Hence, he had never interacted with Qin Zheng before. However, he was acquainted with Qin Zheng's father, Qin Ding and Qin Tiangang. He was also acquainted with Qin Yuanfeng. "Earlier, you said that your Qin clan betrayed Qin Yuanfeng?" Chu Mo stared at Qin Dangtian as he asked. "Uncle Chu, Qin Yuanfeng once betrayed our Qin clan and has long since become a traitor. Many years ago, he was killed by the Qin clan. As for this young man, he is none other than Qin Wentian, one of his descendants." Qin Dangtian pointed to Qin Wentian. "It was precisely because he fled here that we chased him all the way here. To think that we would meet Uncle Chu here. Most probably this is fate's arrangement. From what I know, Yuanfeng is a heroic character. Why would he betray the Qin clan?" Chu Mo didn't believe it. He glanced at Qin Wentian. He naturally understood that because their standpoints were different, the words of a single person couldn't be trusted. Wentian greets Uncle Chu. Qin Wentian was also very polite. At this moment he certainly knew who the handsome man in front of him was. Moreover, from his tone, it could be inferred that he knew his father, and their relationship should be good. The people of the Qin clan are shameless to the extreme. It's true that my father betrayed the Qin clan, but that was because the Qin clan had let my father down. My father was indomitable throughout his life, and initially wanted to live in seclusion with my mother to cultivate. However, Qin Zheng, that despicable villain, actually found a way to deal with him. Even after he was defeated, he still used all sorts of methods. In the end, my father killed his way into the Qin clan and was stripped of everything he had. Qin Wentian coldly spoke. Chu Mo froze as a look of sorrow flashed in his eyes. Yuan Feng actually died? A bunch of nonsense. You are the son of a traitor of my Qin clan. You will naturally speak for him. Uncle, don't believe him. After speaking, he stepped out and continued walking towards Qin Wentian. Even if you flee to the ends of this world, I will still capture you and bring you back to the Qin clan. Yuan Feng actually died as well? In the end, he didn't manage to escape his fate. Chu Mo mumbled. His tone was filled with sorrow. Also, the experts here stared at Chu Mo. When they heard this word, a strange look appeared on their faces. Qin Zheng and Qin Dangtian carefully stared at Chu Mo. Qin Zheng then asked, Brother Chu, why are you so sad because of a traitor? What kind of place is the god's extinction path at the end of the heaven vault? Brother Chu, why don't you come with me and barge our way out? Barge our way out? Chu Mo's handsome gaze turned to Qin Zheng. I hope you guys will be lucky and be able to exit the god's extinction path. As for me, I have no chance at all. Uncle, why are you saying this? Qin Dangtian asked. However, when he spoke, his tone was still as calm as ever, with no emotions at all. Even though the person before him was Nichang's father, the person he liked to be indifferent to was goddess Nikhang. It didn't matter much if Nichang's father appeared. However, Chu Mo was acquainted with Qin Yuanfeng, and their relationship wasn't bad. In here, everything you see, everyone might not be from the same space-time. They might come from a space-time in the past. I am one of them. Chu Mo slowly spoke. In the space-time of the future, I've already died on the god's extinction path. The space-time of the past. The hearts of everyone trembled. The place they entered was actually a space-time of the past. Chu Mo had actually died. Right now, he no longer existed, he only existed in the space-time of the past. As for them, they had arrived at a space-time in the past of the god's extinction path. This was simply unbelievable. Every expert here felt their hearts trembling. How did Brother Chu die? Qin Zheng asked again. His eyes were filled with heat. He wasn't concerned about Chu Mo's life or death. Rather, he wanted to know how Chu Mo died. He wanted to know what Chu Mo had experienced. Only then would he be able to unravel the secrets of the god's extinction path. Chu Mo calmly glanced at Qin Zheng before turning to Qin Dangtian. He suddenly felt a sense of unease. He didn't like this father and son duo very much so. Since you addressed me as Brother Chu, can you promise me to spare him? After all, I'm acquainted with Yuan Feng. Now that you guys have entered this place, your life and death are unknown. Why do you still want to fight? Chu Mo suddenly spoke. Some of his words came from the bottom of his heart. Naturally, some of it was because he wanted to probe Qin Zheng and Qin Dangtian. Brother Chu, this young man is the son of the traitor Qin Yuanfeng. Our Qin clan has to capture him no matter what. I hope Brother Chu can understand. Qin Zheng rejected. Uncle, I will definitely walk out of the god's extinction path. As for Nikhang, you don't have to worry. I will take good care of her on your behalf. In the future, her future will definitely be higher than everyone else. Qin Dangtian arrogantly spoke. Chu Mo stared at this father and son duo. They seemed to be very similar, as expected of father and son. If you can survive this, help me tell my father and Nikhang. Tell them that I, Chu Mo, do not agree to this marriage. Chu Mo transmitted his voice to Qin Wentian. Qin Wentian's expression trembled before he nodded lightly. If he could survive this, he would definitely pass this message to Nikhang. From his perspective, he also didn't wish for goddess Nikhang to marry Qin Dangtian. Chu Mo saw Qin Wentian nodding. The flute in his hand was placed in front of his mouth again as he slowly played it. The melody of the flute was melodious, filled with hints of longing and sorrow. Qin Zheng and Qin Dangtian stared at him. Upon seeing Chu Mo playing the flute, He no longer bothered about them. Qin Dangtian turned his gaze onto Qin Wentian again as he stepped out. Do you still want to flee? As he spoke, the experts of the Qin clan stepped out, completely sealing off all the paths of escape for Qin Wentian. Luo Shenchuan also stepped out, appearing before Qin Wentian. He didn't expect that even after walking all the way to the god's extinction path, he still couldn't escape from the pursuit of the Qin clan. The Qin clan actually spared no expense, chasing him all the way to the end of the 9 heavenly layers. Grandfather, you don't have to care about me. Qin Wentian sighed. Luo Shenchuan stared at him. His expression was incomparably calm as he spoke. You are my grandson? Qin Wentian's heart trembled. He only felt an incomparable warmth in his heart. This was his grandfather, the father of his mother. Since this is the case, grandfather, let's fight. Qin Wentian calmly smiled as his aura gushed forth. Qin Zheng and Qin Dangtian both coldly laughed. What was the point of struggling before death? Just as their auras erupted forth, the melody of the flute continued, transforming into the might of the great Tao. The sound waves spread out in all directions. At this moment, time and space seemed to be distorting as the space-time corridor changed. The melody of the flute seemed to have created a passageway, allowing everyone to pass through it. It was unknown which space-time they were heading to. The experts stared at Chuemo. Chuemo seemed so near yet so far away from them at the same time. He was so handsome he still sat there quietly playing the flute. It was like nothing in the world would be able to shake his heart. What is he doing? Someone asked. No one knew, but they had a feeling similar to when they passed through space-time earlier. They knew that the melody of the flute contained the might of the great Tao, allowing them to pass through space-time. No one knew what Chuemo wanted to do. He only continued to play the flute, causing everyone to wander through the endless space-time. In different space-time they saw different people. All of them were in the heaven vault. It was unknown if they were trapped or had already died. He wants to send us to a certain space-time. An expert spoke, understanding Chuemo's intentions. But what they didn't understand was which space-time Chuemo wanted to send them to exactly. Finally, when they saw a figure appearing in a certain space-time, the melody of Chuemo's flute suddenly calmed down. Space-time no longer flowed. His figure grew further and further away, gradually vanishing from the vision of everyone. Another figure appeared in his place. This figure stood there, resembling a towering ancient mountain, yet also like a tall pine tree. His long hair was as black as ink fluttering in the wind. The contours of his face were incomparably clear. At the instant he saw this figure, Qin Wentian's heart involuntarily trembled. Not only for him, when they saw this figure, the gazes of Qin Zheng, Luo Shenchuan, and the others all froze, staring at the person who appeared before them. The eyes of this person were so deep and terrifying. That pair of eyes seemed to contain 1,000,000,000,000 constellations. He stared at Qin Wentian. It was like in his eyes, there was only Qin Wentian. Their gazes intersected. It felt like they were separated by samsara, separated by boundless space-time. However, Chuemo's flute melody caused time and space to merge, allowing them to meet each other. Qin Dangtian stared at the imposing young man before him as he frowned. He also sensed something. He turned his gaze to his father, only to see his father staring intently at the young man. As for the young man, he didn't even glance at him. My name is Qin Wentian, Qin Yuanfeng's son. At this moment, Qin Wentian suddenly spoke, revealing his name. That young man continued staring at him. After that, he opened his mouth and slowly spoke. My name is Qin Tiangang. Chapter 1891. My name is Qin Tiangang. This voice rang out in the ears of everyone, causing the hearts of many to tremble involuntarily. Qin Tiangang of the Qin clan, Qin Zheng's elder, clan uncle. He was from the same generation as Qin Zheng's father, Qin Ding. In that era, Qin Tiangang was someone who could shake the heavens and earth. Now he appeared before their eyes, meeting with them in a different space-time. It seemed like Chuemo sent them into a different space-time, allowing them to walk through it. Only after they came to this space-time and met Qin Tiangang did Chuemo stop. It seemed like he had the intention to help Qin Wentian. Qin Tiangang was Qin Wentian's grandfather. Qin Wentian stared at the figure before him. His name was Qin Tiangang. He didn't expect that he would have a chance to meet his grandfather at the end of the heaven vault in the chaotic spacetime of the god's extinction path. "Grandpa," Qin Wentian called out. A smile appeared on Qin Tiangong's face. He stepped out and walked towards Qin Wentian. Both his hands patted Qin Wentian's shoulders. "I didn't expect us 3 generations to be here. Maybe this is fate. Father has indeed come here before." Qin Wentian silently mused. Qin Tiangong surveyed Qin Wentian from a close distance as he continued, "Good, good. Just like Yuan Feng back then." Luo Xinchuan stared at the figure before him, feeling very shocked in his heart. He didn't expect that he would actually be able to meet Qin Tiangong here. Most probably Qin Zheng and his family didn't expect this, right? Chu Mo's goddess, Nikhang, was already engaged to Qin Wentian. However, Chu Mo was acquainted with Qin Tiangong and Qin Yuanfeng. He wanted Qin Zheng and Qin Dangtian to spare Qin Wentian, but they didn't agree. Clearly, Chu Mo didn't like Qin Zheng and Qin Dangtian. His flute music brought everyone to another space-time, to Qin Tiangong. At this moment, Qin Tiangong's entire body suddenly turned cold. He stared at Qin Wentian and asked, "How is your father?" "Back then my father was killed by the Qin clan, stripped of everything from his body. Even now it is unknown whether he is still alive or dead," Qin Wentian replied. Qin Tiangong's aura grew even colder. He turned and stared at Qin Zheng and the other heavenly deities of the Qin clan. His gaze landed on a heavenly deity of the Qin clan. This heavenly deity was an elder. Back then when he was still in the Qin clan, he was already an elder of the Qin clan. His name was Qin Mo Astral Dipper. "I didn't think I would be able to meet you here." Qin Mo's heart was also filled with shock. The aura radiating from Qin Tiangong was as cold as ever. He glanced at everyone from the Qin clan as he coldly asked, "Qin clan, did you kill my son?" "Astral Dipper, after you were trapped in the heaven vault, many things happened in the Qin clan. You don't understand. The Qin clan has always been seriously nurturing Yuan Feng, hoping that he would be able to inherit your legacy. However, Yuan Feng's personality was too rebellious. In fact, he even dared to act against an elder of the Qin clan. For the sake of a woman, he spared no expense and even betrayed the Qin clan, slaughtering his way into the Qin clan. If it wasn't for the fact that there was no other choice, the Qin clan wouldn't have acted against him." Qin Mo spoke. His way of addressing Qin Yuanfeng had already changed from traitor to Yuanfeng. "Earlier in another space-time I heard everything you guys said." Qin Tiangong coldly spoke. "Qin Mo, do you think that I, Qin Tiangong, am so easy to fool? How much have I, Qin Tiangong, sacrificed for the Qin clan? Yet the Qin clan actually dared to kill my son? Who gave the order?" Qin Tiangong's entire body radiated a violent aura. "So what if he's killed? Traitors naturally have to be killed. What can your son do?" Qin Dangtian coldly spoke. Even when facing Qin Tiangong, his tone was still filled with arrogance. How could a heavenly deity of their Qin clan lower his voice when facing someone who was rumored to have already died? Qin Ding's grandson. Qin Tiangong stared at Qin Dangtian. "Do you know who you are talking to?" "Humph," Qin Dangtian coldly snorted. Qin Zheng spoke. "Uncle, even now father often talks about you. Back then when uncle barged into the heaven vault, all the traces of life you left behind vanished. The entire Qin clan was very sad. So after I died the Qin clan dared to kill my son? Was it your father Qin Ding who gave the order?" Qin Tiangong stared at Qin Zheng. "I'm also sad about Yuan Feng's matter. He and I were as close as brothers and grew up together. However, he betrayed the Qin clan and the Qin clan had no choice but to kill him. This was the will of the entire Qin clan. It wasn't an order from a single person." Qin Zheng spoke. "Qin Zheng, can you be more shameless?" Qin Wentian coldly spoke. "Now why are you acting so differently? Back then you stripped away my father's bloodline, rune bones, and everything else from his body, using the cruelest methods to deal with my father. Is all this because you were as close as brothers or because you were forced to do so?" Boom! An even more violent aura gushed forth from Qin Tiangong. He stared at Qin Wentian. "The Qin clan once treated your father like this?" "Yes, in the memories my father left behind I personally saw it." Qin Wentian nodded. "Ha ha ha." Qin Tiangong laughed uproariously. causing time and space to tremble. What a good Qin clan. Is this how they treat my son? Qin Tiangang was enraged. The heavenly deities of the Qin clan exchanged mutual glances as they transmitted their voices. After that, they spread out surrounding Qin Tiangang. They knew how powerful Qin Tiangang was back then. Now that they encountered each other in this space-time, they had no idea how strong the Qin Tiangang before them was. Tiangang, could it be that you also want to act against the Qin clan? Qin Mo coldly spoke. Clan. Qin Tiangang continued laughing. Is this still my clan? I, Qin Tiangang, actually have such a despicable clan? Since uncle also wants to betray the clan today, as the clan leader of the Qin clan, nephew can only offend you. Qin Zheng spoke. Let's act together. As the sound of his voice faded, all the heavenly deities of the Qin clan erupted forth with their own heavenly Tao energy. Divine punishment light flashed in this space-time, instantly enveloping Qin Tiangang. Boundless divine formation light enveloped Qin Tiangang, wanting to destroy him within the divine punishment. Qin Ding, your son became the clan leader of the Qin clan. As for your son, he was killed by the Qin clan. Good, my good clan. Qin Tiangang laughed maniacally, causing the heavens and earth to crumble. The divine formation trembled unstably, as though it would collapse at any moment. Qin Zheng released his astral souls as a screen of divine punishment appeared behind him, blotting out the sun. The divine formation shuddered violently, wanting to lock onto Qin Tiangang's body. Beams of divine punishment light descended from the sky, wanting to destroy everything. Qin Tiangang inclined his head. He opened his mouth and abruptly drew in a deep breath. In an instant, the beams of divine punishment light were swallowed into his mouth. The terrifying heavenly Tao energy of divine punishment was directly swallowed into the void, vanishing from sight. Qin clan? Very good. I, Qin Tiangang, have now become a traitor. The Qin clan leader wants to kill me as well. Qin Tiangang laughed loudly. But can you all kill me? As the sound of his voice faded, he stretched out his 5 fingers as a terrifying might erupted forth. His 5 fingers clenched into a fist, causing space to tremble. Break! Qin Tiangang's fist blasted out, slamming into the divine formation. In an instant, the entire space seemed to be on the verge of destruction, shattering into pieces. The radiance of the divine formation was completely shattered. Qin Tiangang's fist blasted out, akin to a world-destroying fist traversing through space, aiming for Qin Zheng. At this moment, Qin Dongtian's figure appeared. A divine wall appeared around him. His defense was unparalleled, able to absorb the power of the 10,000 laws and counter-attack his opponent, creating a terrifying destructive might. Dang or don't! Qin Dongtian's mother roared. Although Qin Dongtian's heavenly Tao was powerful, the person standing before him was none other than Qin Tiangang, the war god of the Qin clan. He has been missing for many years, but he was actually still alive in the god's extinction path. Only heaven knew how strong he was now. When Qin Ding and Qin Tiangang dominated the supreme ancient immortal realms, Shi and Qin Zheng were still young. At that time, Qin Tiangang and Qin Ding were already the legends of the Qin clan. Qin Tiangang, the war god of the Qin clan, could shatter the heavenly Tao with a single punch. However, it was already too late. Qin Tiangang's attack blasted out at the same time as her voice, directly smashing into the divine wall. The heavenly Tao crumbled as the divine wall shattered. That punch seemed to be able to penetrate through time itself. Qin Dongtian's body was directly flung through the air as he coughed out blood. His Tao was able to absorb the power of the Tao of others, but under that punch, it was directly shattered, causing him to be heavily injured. Danger! Qin Zheng's wife screamed in shock. Her body flickered as she sped towards Qin Dongtian. At the same time, the heavenly deities of the Qin clan unleashed their heavenly Tao attacks, blasting towards Qin Tiangang. For a moment, this entire space felt like it was about to be destroyed. All living beings were slaughtered. An even more powerful divine formation radiated light as boundless divine punishment descended from the skies. In the past, did you all bully my grandson like this as well? Qin Tiangong's battle intent towered up into the sky. He was like an ancient war god, allowing the attacks of countless Tao attacks to come at him. He stood there arrogantly. The light of divine punishment and destructive Tao attacks blasted over. The space-time around Qin Tiangang was in a state of chaos. When the boundless Tao attacks blasted into him, they were all swept away by the distortions in space-time. When the towering Tao attacks blasted into him, they were unable to move him at all. The divine punishment light was useless as well. The hearts of everyone who saw this scene trembled violently. How powerful! Was this the Qin clan's war god, Qin Tiangang, who once dominated the supreme ancient immortal realms? He alone could fight against all the heavenly deities of the Qin clan. Kill! Qin Tiangang roared. Dimensional light flashed, causing time and space to reverse. The boundless Tao attacks were reversed as the divine punishment light shot towards the Qin clan's heavenly deities. At the same time he stretched out both his hands, traversing through space-time, arriving at the side of the Qin clan's heavenly deities. A thunderous boom rang out, causing time and space to tremble as the void collapsed. Several heavenly deities of the Qin clan were directly injured, coughing out blood as their countenances turned pale. Their eyes were filled with disbelief as they stared at the legendary character of the Qin clan. This was the war god of their Qin clan, but now, he actually acted against them. If he was still alive, how much of a joke would that be? Luo Shenchuan sighed in his heart when he saw this scene. Even Qin Zheng couldn't withstand a single strike from Qin Tiangang. His divine punishment energy was directly devoured by Qin Tiangang. Although he was shocked by Qin Tiangang's strength, Luo Shenchuan could also see the disparity between the Luoshan clan and the Qin clan. Qin Ding was someone who was equally famous as Qin Tiangang. Right now, on the path of a heavenly deity, what step has he reached? Chapter 1892. From afar, many heavenly deities who were spectating felt shock in their hearts. The Qin clan of the Heaven region. If Qin Tiangang didn't enter the Heaven Vault back then, the current Qin clan would surely be at its peak. Just Qin Tiangang alone was sufficient to contend against all heavenly deities. In addition, there was still his wife and his son, Qin Yuanfeng. Luckily, such a situation occurred. If not, if the Qin clan was too strong, the balance of power in the Heaven region would be unbalanced. Qin Tiangang had no time to care about what everyone was thinking. He stepped out and coldly spoke. Back then, which one of you participated in the killing of my son Yuanfeng? Tiangang, Yuanfeng betrayed the Qin clan back then. Now, if you act so heavily against someone from the Qin clan, will you be able to face the ancestors of the Qin clan? Qin Mo shouted loudly. He was also injured by Qin Tiangang and felt great shock in his heart. Compared to the Qin Tiangang who disappeared back then, the Qin Mo they met in the spacetime of the god's extinction path was even more terrifying. Only when one reached the heavenly deity realm would they understand that this was a never-ending path. One could not imagine just how far one could reach in this realm. Was Qin Zheng strong? As the current clan leader of the Qin clan, he was naturally very powerful. Even among the heavenly deities of the supreme ancient immortal realms, he was at the peak. Leaving aside Qin Zheng, was Heaven's son Qin Dangtian strong? Of course he was. With his age and talent he was definitely outstanding, rarely seen since ancient times, an unparalleled figure. Not long after he entered the heavenly deity realm, he crippled the Sky Order heavenly deity. But so what of it? Qin Zheng and the others were all powerful, but before Qin Tiangang, they couldn't even withstand a single strike. None of them could block him. This was the absolute disparity. From this, one could see how terrifying Qin Tiangang was now. It was unknown how strong he was compared to ancient god kings. The Qin clan treated Yuanfeng in such a manner, yet you still have the face to mention your ancestor to me? The Qin clan, are you worthy of me, Qin Tiangang? Qin Tiangang felt even more enraged when he heard the words of the other party. He stepped out with large strides, rushing towards a heavenly deity of the Qin clan. Traitor! That heavenly deity's expression was ice cold. Ha ha ha, I Qin Tiangang have actually become a traitor. Qin Tiangang laughed maniacally, causing time and space to tremble. Qin Mo silently mused. After that, he heard Qin Tiangang coldly speaking. You killed my son and acted against my grandson. Since the Qin clan is heartless, I won't be righteous today. Qin Tiangang roared. That heavenly deity who spoke only felt the space around him trembling. After that, Qin Tiangang clenched his fist and punched out. This punch seemed to be able to penetrate through time and space, penetrating through everything. With a rumbling sound, that heavenly deity lowered his head and stared at his body. His chest was actually penetrated by a single punch. After that, the space around him exploded. He screamed in terror as he died in despair. The heavenly god had fallen. The experts of the Qin clan were in disbelief when they saw this scene. All of them felt their bodies turning incomparably cold. Qin Tiangang. Qin Zheng roared. He took out a treasure and after that, he sprayed a mouthful of blood on it. In an instant, a supreme divine weapon appeared before Qin Zheng. That was a treasured armor that blotted out the sun. It instantly enlarged as ancient runes flashed, radiating a supremely powerful Tao energy that instantly enveloped Qin Tiangang's body. After that, countless ancient runes shot towards Qin Tiangang. At this moment, numerous ancient figures walked out from the treasured armor. Each of the ancient runes contained a type of Tao energy. Myriad Law Armor. Qin Tiangang was enveloped by the power of the 10,000 runes. He stared at the treasured armor as his eyes gleamed with coldness. This was a supreme treasure of the Qin clan. Right now, Qin Zheng was actually using it to deal with him. The myriad law armor radiated an apocalyptic might that blotted out the sky as it shot towards Qin Tiangang. Rumble! A shocking might erupted from Qin Tiangang. He was like a supreme god of war in this world. Boundless attacks rained down on him, causing the space currents around him to explode. The myriad law armor spun. The Tao light it shot out grew stronger and stronger. Qin Tiangang couldn't bear to act against the figures that walked out. These figures were formed from the wills of the Qin clan's ancestors. The myriad law armor was created by the joint efforts of the Qin clan's ancestors, and was passed down from generation to generation. Each of the ancient runes on it was carved by the Tao of his ancestors. Kill! Qin Zheng roared. The light from the myriad law armor grew even more terrifying, covering the entire sky. The heavenly deities who were spectating from afar all hurriedly retreated. This was a world-destroying light. Luo Shenchuan walked towards Qin Wentian and spoke in a light voice, "Careful." Qin Tiangang took a step out, blocking Qin Wentian who was behind him. As for himself, he stood in the center of the storm as terrifying spatial tempests manifested around him. At this moment, countless figures of Qin Tiangang appeared in the sky. All of them lifted their fists at the same time, causing time and space to tremble. As the myriad law armor radiated light, Qin Tiangang let out a thunderous roar. The countless figures of Qin Tiangang blasted out space-time annihilation punches at the same time, clashing against the treasured light. For a period of time the sky collapsed. It felt like this entire space was about to be destroyed. Go! Qin Zheng roared in a low voice. At the same time he attacked, the experts of the Qin clan retreated. When Qin Zheng retreated into the distance, the myriad law armor transformed into a beam of light and followed after him. Seeing Qin Zheng and the others leaving, Qin Tiangang didn't chase after them. If they could walk out of the god's extinction path alive, it could already be considered that they were very lucky. After retreating far away, the hearts of the various heavenly deities of the supreme ancient immortal realms were still trembling. This was the battle god of the Qin clan, Qin Tiangang. With his strength alone, he could fight against all the heavenly deities of the Qin clan, injuring them and killing one of them. Qin Zheng took out the Qin clan's heaven-defying treasured armor, and used the momentum to flee. If they really fought head-on, those heavenly deities of the Qin clan most probably would have all died here forever. Qin Tiangang's strength has already reached another level. Turning around, Qin Tiangang walked towards Qin Wentian. Luo Shenchuan tactfully left, leaving some time for the grandfather and grandson pair. Qin Tiangang stared at Qin Wentian like he wanted to see his fill. He didn't expect that his grandson would already be so old and had already comprehended the Tao, arriving at the end of the heaven vault. After that, Qin Tiangang glanced at the people in the distance. "You guys leave this place first. I have something to say to my grandson." The eyes of everyone flashed as they departed respectively. "Wentian, I didn't expect that Yuanfeng's son has already grown up. Good, this is truly very good." Qin Tiangang felt a myriad of emotions in his heart. After that, his gaze turned sharp as he stared at Qin Wentian. "Is your father dead or alive now?" "Back then, everything my father had was stripped away by the Qin clan. But from what I know, he recultivated and only had me in his second life. Qin Wentian spoke. After that, he told Qin Tiangang everything he knew. After Qin Tiangang learned of this, he clenched his fists tightly as an uncontrollable rage gushed forth from him. He was like a terrifying primordial beast, causing fear to appear in the hearts of people. Qin clan. What a Qin clan. Qin Tiangang inclined his head and coldly spoke. Wentian, I'm afraid you will have to take revenge for this debt. Grandfather, now you... Qin Wentian stared at Qin Tiangang. I'm no longer with you. The me you see is merely the me from a certain spacetime in the past. Qin Tiangang smiled at Qin Wentian, as though he didn't mind at all. How can that be? Since I can see you, grandfather, it means that you are still alive in a certain spacetime. Since this is the case, there will definitely be a way. Qin Wentian learned the answer. It was actually what he didn't wish for the most. His grandfather Qin Tiangang was truly the same as Chu Mo. He had already died. This place was merely a spacetime in the past. Chu Mo intentionally sent them here, allowing them to meet each other. No matter how strong one's cultivation base is, it's impossible for one to revive from the dead. This God's extinction path is filled with chaotic spacetime. It's already very good that I can still exist in a certain spacetime. Also, I'm already very satisfied with being able to see you. Qin Tiangang didn't seem to mind at all. He had already fallen for so many years, but he still existed in the spacetime of the past. If the spacetime in this God's extinction path is reversed and we return to the past, wouldn't grandfather be able to survive? Qin Wentian spoke. When he participated in the convention of the myriad realms, he had once returned to the past in the time realm. The Time King was pursuing the supreme Tao of time, allowing him to transcend the past and the future. That is still the spacetime of the past. What's the difference between that and the current me? Qin Tiangang smiled. Qin Wentian started. After that, he continued, in that case, if we can return to the spacetime where grandfather died and save grandfather, would it mean that we can change what happened in that spacetime and grandfather would be able to survive? Qin Wentian felt some reluctance. He met with his grandfather, the supreme expert Qin Tiangang, only to learn that his grandfather had already died. Silly child. Qin Tiangang patted Qin Wentian on his shoulder. Let's not talk about grandfather anymore. Let's talk about you. Why did you come to the heaven vault? Is it because you know that I died here? Qin Wentian nodded. After I learned that the heaven vault has opened, I recalled that grandfather came here before. Hence, I came here to roam the world and disguise my identity. However, I didn't expect that when I was breaking through, I would be seen through by the Qin clan. They chased me all the way here and I didn't expect that Senior Chu Mo would send me here to meet grandfather. Haha, that little brat Chu Mo is too considerate. Qin Tiangang laughed. Grandfather, what sort of place is this exactly? I saw many heavenly deities trapped here. Are they from a certain spacetime in the past? How did grandfather die? Qin Wentian asked. This God's extinction path was filled with locations. Maybe grandfather might know some of them. God's extinction path. Back then, grandfather was greedy and that's why I ended up dying here. Qin Tiangang sighed. Wentian, did your father pass that thing to you? Qin Wentian's eyes flashed. He stared at Qin Tiangang and seemed to have thought of something. Grandfather, are you referring to the tiny astral being? Qin Tiangang started. After that, he nodded. It's indeed in the form of a tiny astral being. In that case, it is already in your soul? Father passed it to me. After I entered the heaven vault, it had a reaction. Could it be that grandfather passed it to father? Qin Wentian was filled with curiosity. Yes. Our 3 generations all had the same encounter. Seems like fate has destined it to belong to my descendants. Qin Tiangong's eyes gleamed sharply. Since Qin Yuanfeng passed it to Wentian, there was no need to worry that Wentian wouldn't be able to exit this place. Chapter 1893. Qin Wentian's eyes flashed. His grandfather was the first person to obtain the tiny astral being. In that case, he might know the secret of the tiny astral being. Grandfather, what is that thing exactly? Qin Wentian asked. The tiny astral being was extremely mysterious, but he had never truly unraveled its secrets before. Let me talk to you about the Heaven Vault first. Qin Tiangang spoke. Back then, when I conquered the Heaven region, I followed the Qin clan and stood at the peak of the Heaven region. My cultivation base was also strong enough, and hence, I wanted to unravel the secrets of the supreme ancient immortal realms. I roamed many places in search for records regarding the various secret realms of the supreme ancient immortal realms. I even managed to find some of the secret realms that were extremely hidden, and by chance, I learned that the Heaven Vault has a connection with the legendary existence of the ancient era. Hence, I decided to come to the Heaven Vault. Who is it? Qin Wentian asked. Being able to attract his grandfather here, that person must definitely be an extremely extraordinary existence. When the 8 regions were divided, the first overlord of the Heaven region was none other than God King Shi. Qin Tiangang slowly spoke. I once investigated and found out that God King Shi's hometown is none other than Boundless City in the Heaven region. It's located at the shore of the Boundless Sea. Grandfather, you suspect that the Heaven Vault has a connection with God King Shi? Qin Wentian's eyes flashed. The first overlord of the Heaven region, God King Shi. How powerful of an existence was he exactly? When the supreme ancient immortal realms were divided into 8 regions, there was a god in each of the 8 regions who led the deities of the 8 regions, and were conferred the title of God King. Where were they now? I've always been thinking about where did those supreme existences of the ancient era go to? Most probably, they are all pursuing a supreme cultivation realm. I discovered that the Heaven Vault might have a connection with God King Shi, and hence, I came here to explore the secrets of the Heaven Vault. I roamed the Heaven Vault, and as I ventured deeper, as well as many things that happened after that, I suddenly thought of something unbelievable. After you entered the Heaven Vault, did you pass through the 10 heavenly stone pillars? Qin Wentian nodded. When you entered the Heaven Vault, did you experience the Blood Sea Bone Boat before? Qin Tiangang asked again. Qin Wentian nodded again. Blood transforming into a sea, bones transforming into a boat. All sorts of evil thoughts, they are all evil thoughts in the heart. Have you ever imagined that the blood sea was truly formed from the blood of an expert? That bone boat was truly formed from the bones of an expert. Those distracting thoughts that cause people to feel fear and despair were all the distracting thoughts in the heart of that expert. All of these aren't lies, they are all real. Qin Tiangang spoke. Qin Wentian's heart trembled as he stared at Qin Tiangang in shock. Grandfather is saying that this Heaven Vault is the blood and bones of a supreme expert? This entire Heaven Vault is actually the inner world of a supreme expert? Qin Wentian felt that this was somewhat unbelievable. This conjecture was a little too audacious. Initially, I also didn't dare to think about it. In the end, I came to this God's extinction path. This God's extinction path contains many terrifying destructive Tao energies. Also, the spacetime here seems to be chaotic, able to cause people to fall into a trap forever. It's like the countless memories in the mind of a person. Each memory is in a different spacetime, containing different Tao energies. After I obtained the tiny astral being you spoke of, I was even more certain of my conjecture in my heart. That tiny astral being seemed to be formed from the soul of a supreme expert, controlling everything. Sadly, because I wanted to obtain it, I only had a single breath left. Relying on a strand of unwillingness, I forcefully separated it from my body. However, I didn't have the chance to exit the God's extinction path. I was unwilling to die just like that until your father arrived. Qin Wentian's heart trembled violently when he heard his grandfather's words. The tiny astral being was formed from the soul of a supreme expert? If that was truly a soul, given my strength, wouldn't I be easily corroded by it? Qin Wentian asked. You are thinking too much. That person used his divine sense to envelop the 9 heavenly layers. I'm guessing that he has already achieved transcendence and is very close to that step where no one in the supreme ancient immortal realms could reach. His ambitions are extremely great, wanting to take over the 9 heavenly layers for himself, transforming them into the power of his soul. He didn't want to limit himself to just condensing a connection with the 9 constellations. He wants to reach a supreme peak, becoming an existence that transcends the 9 heavenly layers. In addition, he has already accomplished it. However, I suspect that he was only one step away, but he still failed in the end. This is why he transformed himself into the Heaven Vault, waiting for his descendants to come and complete his long-cherished wish. Qin Tiangang slowly spoke. Qin Wentian's heart pounded violently. He thought of the countless astral fragments in the tiny astral being. They were able to seal memories, and the tiny astral being was like a universe, able to contain millions and millions of constellations. This was extremely similar to his grandfather's conjecture. Using his divine sense to envelop the 9 heavenly layers, he was unwilling to be below the 9 heavenly layers. He wanted to transcend, becoming an existence that surpassed the 9 heavenly layers. Such ambition, such strength, how could the hearts of people not tremble? Grandfather suspects that this person is none other than the first-generation overlord of the heaven region, God King Shi? Qin Wentian asked. Qin Tiangang nodded. When I obtained the tiny astral being, I explored it. Your father must have done so as well. Right now, I also have no idea what would happen if the tiny astral being was in your body. But since fate arranged for it to leave its mark on the bodies of our 3 generations, I believe that you, Wentian, would be able to unravel its ultimate secret. Let's hope so. Qin Wentian nodded. Is this place where gods died very dangerous? There are many unknown danger zones. I'm guessing that this is the energy left behind in God King Shi's boundless sea of consciousness. There wouldn't be any problems for 1 or 2 days, but what about 10 years, 100 years, 1,000 years, or even 10,000 years? You would eventually encounter danger. This is also the reason why many people who entered here all died. Because they couldn't exit and were trapped here for countless years, they would eventually encounter death. However, you have the core of everything. You would definitely be able to exit this place. Back then, your father also exited this place. Qin Tiangang spoke. Qin Wentian nodded. It was indeed like what his grandfather said. After they entered, they didn't encounter any danger at all. There might only be a few dangerous places, but after being trapped here for countless years, there would definitely be a day where they would encounter danger unless they could exit this place. The tiny astral being has been acting strangely. I haven't tried to sense it yet. Qin Wentian spoke. Grandpa believes that you will be able to do it. Find your father if he is still alive. Qin Dangtian patted Qin Wentian on his shoulder. After that, space-time intent flowed as Qin Tiangong's figure gradually turned illusory. His incomparably tyrannical figure now had a warm smile on his face as he stared at his grandson. His figure grew more and more blurry. Grandpa! Qin Wentian felt pain in his heart when he saw this scene as he called out. Grandpa is already very happy to be able to meet you here in space-time. Child, in the future you have to walk your own path. Qin Tiangang laughed. His figure gradually dissipated, transforming into nothingness like he had never appeared before. It was hard to imagine that not long ago, he was here, fighting against the heavenly deities of the Qin clan. Qin Wentian stood there in a daze. Behind him, a figure walked to Qin Wentian's side. This figure was none other than Luo Shenchuan. He also stared at Qin Tiangong's vanishing figure as he felt many emotions in his heart. Before this he had heard everything. Qin Wentian naturally didn't need to hide anything from his grandfather. Your grandfather, what a pity. He was an overlord of an era. He could originally dominate the supreme ancient immortal realms. Luo Shenchuan sighed. Grandfather, you have heard everything earlier. I will sense the tiny astral being now and see if we can leave this place as soon as possible. Qin Wentian spoke. Luo Shenchuan nodded. After that, Qin Wentian sat down cross-legged and sent his will into the tiny astral being. After he entered the god's extinction path, the tiny astral being had been reacting. However, he had been fleeing for his life and didn't have the time to sense it. Now he could finally sense the changes. When Qin Wentian sent his will into the tiny astral being, he discovered that an extremely complicated world appeared in the tiny astral being. It was like a maze with tens of thousands of connections and endless corridors intersecting with each other. Didn't this world perfectly match the scene in the god's extinction path? Back then, his grandfather must have sensed it as well. This was why he had such a bold guess. Sadly, back then when his grandfather obtained the tiny astral being, he was already on the verge of death. If not, he would have been able to leave this place. Grandfather, it shouldn't be a problem to leave this place after spending some time. If I can control it completely, I'm afraid it wouldn't be as simple as leaving this place. Qin Wentian opened his eyes and spoke. Luo Shenchuan's eyes flashed. He didn't expect the truth to be like this. In that case, those heavenly deities who came here to explore the gods' extinction path most probably only left them with danger. To them, the secret basically didn't exist. It only existed for Qin Wentian. Several years later, in the gods' extinction path, Qin Zheng and his group were still inside. Their expressions were extremely unsightly to behold. What damnable place is this? A heavenly deity cursed in a low voice. In here there were basically no secrets at all. There was only danger. There was no need to even think about good fortune. Also they, Qin Wentian, were able to capture them and even narrowly escape death. What is that? At this moment, their gazes turned ahead only to see a destructive current gushing towards them. Qin Zheng's expression changed. He turned and spoke, "Let's go." After speaking, the group of them didn't hesitate and turned to flee. As for the other heavenly deities who entered the gods' extinction path, they all had similar encounters. Although the majority of the time was very safe, they were like drifting aimlessly with no end in sight. Occasionally they would even encounter danger. As for the good fortune and secrets they imagined, there was nothing at all. What made them feel even more terrified was that even their messaging crystals were ineffective here. They had no way to contact the outside world. It was like they were in a different space-time. How could they contact each other? Today, at the end of the ancient path, above the 9 heavenly layers, there were some powerful existences cultivating. Those who entered seemed to have disappeared. Many people were worried, especially for the experts from the various major powers. If something happened to those people, an earthquake would surely occur in the supreme ancient immortal realms. At this moment, in the desolate land of darkness, 2 figures walked out. The 2 of them were extremely fatigued and their robes were tattered. But even so, they walked out of the darkness and returned to the ancient heaven vault path. Finally, we are out. Qin Wentian stared at the ancient path. He only felt that he had passed through several centuries. The process of them exiting was too difficult to endure. That place was simply too vast, it was boundlessly vast. As for the other people who entered, it was unknown where they went. Even if Qin Wentian wanted to find them, it would be hard for him to do so. He could only bring his grandfather out of there. You're tuning in to the Li Mei Sword of Destiny YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.